Come on and sweetie pie, have an apple, have some lie. Leave your friends, righteous and pathetic, standing at the door. On the books, all your bets favor headbands and cassettes, cigarettes and suffragettes and bores. What to do, sweetheart, you'll find mediocre people do exceptional things all the time. Oh, the ruin will do in your talented mind. Could have been a genius if you'd had an axe to grind. When we moved into the city, it seemed the competition got so much less pretty, but the mirrors never failed you like this before. So your revenge on the world will be pencils through your curls. And if wanting ever taught you anything, it's wanting more and more and more and more. What to do, sweetheart, you'll find mediocre people do exceptional things all the time. Oh, the ruin will do in your talented mind. Could have been a genius if you'd had an axe to grind. What to do, oh, what to do, oh, oh, what to do, what to do, what to do, oh, what to do. When that day finally nears, you'll at least have made it clear that compassion's just a nicer way of looking down your nose. It seems that all the people want to do is crowd the streets of Amsterdam and Palatuga, but bulls have already come and gone and bellowed all their lows. Now nobody knows what to do. Sweetheart, you'll find mediocre people do exceptional things all the time. Oh, the ruin will do in your talented mind. Could have been a genius if you'd had an axe to grind. What to do, oh, what to do, oh, oh, what to do, what to do, what to do, oh, what to do. How are we doing? Went straight into the song today. Never hurts. Never hurts. Good to see you, Pepper. I know Wednesdays we've got some of our usuals are in a game group. I know we've got a bunch of our other usuals are off celebrating the Legends of Azeroth release. So, might be a little cozy group tonight, but we got a lot of Legend in the Mist to look at tonight, so we're going to do it. Last stream, and I didn't expect to go back to back to back on the same content over and over again, but we did dive into Hearts of Ravensdale, and I found a lot to like, and I actually went on to Blue Sky after the fact Aaron Everham, the editor for Son of Oak, had made a post about somebody's review of Hearts of Ravendale, and I had to tag onto it. I was like, it turned me. I'm not a setting book guy. Like I said in the last stream, I don't want somebody else's ideas. I want my own ideas, you know? And it's like, give me the least amount possible to spark my imagination and let me run with it from there. But this book, as we saw in the last stream, the maps, the consideration of what routes are taken by trade merchants and which aren't, the logic that, you know, the city up in the northeast corner and the roads that come down it, those are the biggest towns. Really feels lived in and feels, I was afraid it would be too much. The legend, yeah, sure. I thought it would be too much. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was going to be, I don't even know how else to put it, simply too much. And it has this sense of interconnectivity between everything we've seen so far, which is really just, I mean, what did we even look at here? Let me pull it up. We looked at so far the first half of chapter 1 of 3. So we looked at the subsection called Familiar Places, and we looked at the subsection called Familiar Faces, and that was it. That is all we got to in the last stream. So we're kicking it off today. We're going to go into the segment called Dalish Life. Then we have Bands and Brotherhoods. Valley by Valley, a guide to the Dales. That should be fun. Making a Dalish hero. I wonder if anybody affiliated with this channel could have a hand in making a Legend in the Mist character. I did finally pull the trigger, and I put a group post up for running a Legend in the Mist game on our server. And I had a full party in 2 minutes, and I have 7 people on the list as of right now. So I'm like, well, that's almost 2 full groups there. So we're going to get creative. When I get to it myself and I look at the adventures here, we'll figure out how those can be maybe broken up. I did see that they're sequential, but they're episodic, so you don't have to do them in a sort of campaign presentation, but you can. And so we'll figure something out. Or I thought it might also be cool. I did put it out there. Nobody took the bait, but I said, hey, if I put my name on the player list, then you have 2 groups of 4. I just need somebody to run the second one. Because then we could run it and compare notes and see how wildly different they go. That'd be fun. Oh, no, Pepper, no. Oh, no. We lasted a week and a half of content before we became another mega game channel. Yeah, considering what I've learned about running / co-facilitating a mega game, especially a play-by-post mega game, there is absolutely nothing that would keep us from being able to... Sorry, I just got broken. Thanks, Alejandra. This is the artist, guys. This is the artist of all the art that we're obsessing over in the last few streams. Thank you for the compliments on the song. It's a thing I started doing, and then I was like, oh no, you put my stream out to a whole new audience, and I'm going to start with a song out of nowhere, and they're going to be so confused. But you got to build the brand early, and you got to build it hard. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for popping in at all. I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. It's been nice chatting with you. So, yes, mega game. There is nothing keeping Legend in the Mist from running like a play-by-post mega game, just like we run New Dawn with Pathfinder, because ultimately it's just the mechanical structures that are different. And long ago, when this game was first being, what is the term you use? It being backed doesn't seem right. Being funded, crowdfunded. Well, Tortuga, what if you ran it, but like a month delayed? What if we did it in rounds, like a song, you know? I start it, you're in the first group, we run it for a month, and then you start. Just saying. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I had considered, though, before I knew whether I was going to go all in and actually run a full game of Legend in the Mist, that you can just take all of the characters that myself and my friends have in New Dawn, which, again, context for people who aren't familiar, it's a Pathfinder 2 play-by-post mega game that is hosted on the Knights of Last Call Patreon server. Discord server through their Patreon is where we've had that for the last 3 years. But I was thinking, oh, what if I just ran some side content, like take the characters as they exist in Pathfinder 2, rebuild them in Legend of the Mist, because, you know, it's not like you have to like convert them over. It's like, just think about what's important to them. You know, somebody who's a sharpshooter with a bow, just put something with a bow over there, and they have some witch magic, so put some witch magic in there and whatever. I thought that would have been a cool way to dip my toes into it, but Pepper would run, but you got to wrap your current one. Yeah. Well, I mean, and the other thing too is like we don't have to run games concurrently. If I do say, hey, I'm going to pick 4 of you out of the bunch, and anybody else who's interested, still throw your name in, because you never know what happens. Sometimes people got to drop out or whatever. Then it just might be like, hey, like, we're going to take the 4 of you and the other 3 of you, like, stay tuned. There might be other games in the future, whether there's other sections that I run, or like if you say, Pepper, if you could jump in and run it, and you don't even have to run it play-by-post. I don't technically have to run it play-by-post either, but I am mindful of my schedule, because I am streaming 3 times a week currently as well. And gosh, hair and makeup takes a lot out of me. It was fighting today. The eyeliner was not cooperating. But we got there in the end. Yes, thanks guys for being welcoming. This is a good group. We got a good group. What else? Matters of housekeeping and business before we jump in. If you are new to the channel and by fate you've stumbled across this, please subscribe. Do the subscribe. You know, they always say like, oh, I've got 400 unique viewers, but 41 subscribers. So, you know, you're going to figure out what we do by the end of this stream, at least, if you like it or not. So please subscribe if you would like to. Tips are always welcome. I don't like calling them tips, and that's why I've renamed them, as you can see in the stuff. I like to alternate between real life needs and fun things so that you guys know where your support is going. I don't know about this AC unit. I might have to shift that over to a valve gasket replacement instead, but we'll see how that goes. What else? Yes, if you are interested in playing Legend of the Mist with myself or anybody in my community, you can join our Patreon. And that link is down there in the bottom corner as well. You can pretty much get everything you'd want to get for the $3 tier. The rest of it is future-proofing and for nonsense people who want to give me a lot of money for some reason. And like the video. Yeah, like the video. Oh, and that reminds me. I don't know if this is rolled out to everybody or if this is in like beta, but there's that hype feature. So once the stream is done, if you're catching it on VOD, at least on mobile, I've seen this anyway. It might be a mobile-only thing because they're trying to track mobile engagement only. But there's a little thing that's like, hype this, and if it has been posted within the last week, you can like give your hype points to it. They sound like they'll help. They sure don't sound like they'll hurt. So if you run across that interface, just punch that button. That'd be cool as well. Because we're out here trying to build community and make a safe place and encourage people to follow their dreams and be vulnerable and do things like sing on stream. That's honestly part of why I have continued to sing on stream, because it is a vulnerability thing, and without fail, while I'm in the middle of doing it, I'm like, wow, can't believe I'm doing this. But I want you guys to see me risk failure so that you can also feel comfortable risking failure, because that is how we succeed over time. And you can tell I had a lot of high-level meetings at work today because I'm all in the sauce. But without further ado, we can get into Dalish Life. Let me swing it on over and make sure I didn't break anything else, because I did a whole lighting routine this stream. I was rehearsing that the last hour. I was like, okay, I got to click this and then mute that and then drag this slider down, and I'm going to turn this light off, and then I'm going to go back to the break screen. I'm going to get up, mute the mic, get up, turn everything back on. Why not? You know, why not? Okay, let's see. I got that transition ready, and I should be able to go zoop. And there we are. Just that easy. I've also come to learn that there is about a 15 to 20 second delay between when I talk and you guys respond to me. So that's why sometimes I'm like blowing past the question I just asked. I'm like, oh, nobody had an answer. And then the answers come in. I'm like, oh, they are engaging with that question. Never mind. Learning process. Okay, so let's go back to, if we can easily, we can't, maybe we'll do it this way. Let's go back to the cover. For those of you that weren't with us last time, here's the beautiful cover of Legend of the Mist, Hearts of Ravensdale with an S. Setting Book 1, The Dales. And there is a trilogy in the works. And I don't know what those books are yet because I forgot to research it. But they're coming. Let's get back here. Oh, and also, I put the map in the thumbnail today because it's a killer map. I love it. But let's put that up too. And we're going to briefly go over what we learned last time. Stormhelm up here is the last surviving city of Old Gwyrdalin. That was the ancient, maybe not ancient, old empire that kind of crumbled after the War of Thaumaturges. And the War of Thaumaturges was Thaumaturges versus Creatures of Twilight. Creatures of Twilight, you could say, oh, they're kind of the Fae analog. Kind of. But they're more monster, more not monster at the same time. Sometimes they're just normal-looking people, but it's like there's something to them that's just off, unknown. There's a lot about this game and this setting that encourages you to engage with the unknown. If you go through, if you go way back and you go back to the demo, it gives you advice, and I'm sure the core book does too. We just didn't get that far, but it tells you do not use the names of things with your players. Describe them because they are completely new to the players. They are completely new to the characters, and you can actually have emergent storytelling when they come back to town and they're like, "What did you see out there?" And they're like, "It was it had armor on and it was like sludgy and all sorts of crazy things." And then in game, diegetically, you discover a name for it, and that name becomes true because nobody else in the game world has experienced it. So there's a lot to this game about mystery and discovery. It's not the core guiding principle. This is not an exploration game, but it is about the unknown, I guess, is maybe how I'd phrase it. So here we go. The Dales, the remote and rugged hills and valleys west of the Shiverwash. The Shiverwash is our big blue river here on the right-hand side. That forms our eastern boundary to anything we need to worry about. And then on the west side, the Cregan Highlands, there's a bunch of these big cliffs over here to the left. And there are sort of nomadic raider kind of type people, maybe Viking-ish analogs up in here. And they've come from the Western Sea at some point in the history. They landed, they came in here, they set up shop. But they have trouble invading and coming in down here into the Dales because of the cliff face and because of the Melkin Rush, which is this river on the left. And that's where Milkrest takes its name because the Melkin Rush is full of rapids and more rapids. I don't know why. I thought there was going to be another word for rapids that came to me there. And it's ice cold and it's not a great spot. But these guys, these raiders, sometimes do make forays across the ford. This area is very much difficult to access. There are very few points where you can ford any of these rivers to get in here. As you see, the Shiverwash comes down. It starts to branch off to the west, and it comes down here and separates this area called Woodend from the Alden Weald. So people are coming into this forest to do logging and such. The marshes down here are terrible. There's all sorts of gross, nasty stuff in there, and you should not go. Ravenholm is your cute little starter town, more or less. Rapids and fasts. I've never heard the term fasts for that. Interesting. I'll have to look that one up. Ravenholm is your little starting place. And, we're going to get into the details of these place by place today, I think, if I can keep the pace up. Barleytown was the largest village, if I recall. The rest of them would be called villages. This is, I think, they actually gets the name of a town. So it is the biggest spot. And you also have way up here the Witchwood. That's also a nasty place. This place has the monsters coming out of it to find you. So there's a lot of people out here who are defending their homes day in and day out, locking their doors at night, whereas most people aren't. So. No, Alejandra, I think you just invented a new word. I think that's how language happens. So, rapids and fasts. Oh, that's good. That's a good time. Okay, so that's, your general kind of overlay of the map. As I said, Stormhelm, the city up here to the northeast, and this road coming down it, Underbow and Pasture, I think were called out as having the most, mercantile activity. And I forget the name of the traders. They have like a guild kind of a name, special thing, but we'll probably come across it again as we go. We're back here. We're back to the text, and now I'm just going to read at you. So, buckle in. All right, the way of being. In the mountain valleys of the Dales, a delicate balance has been struck between heart and common sense, care for others, and stewardship of the land. Though the walks of life of the Dalish are many, from a fisherwoman in the cold lakes of Upper Heartland to a wood whisperer in Lastford, their way of life is one. They value freedom, but temper it with grounded practicality, demanding of themselves toil and prudence, while carrying a sense of shared fate, reminding themselves that one's wish ought not be forced on another. I don't mean to entirely co-opt this, but as I've said on stream multiple times, the very first stream I ever did, I said, be excellent. It's an expectation I have of myself, and it's an expectation I have of you all. And if you're having trouble being excellent, let's figure it out together. I love this sentiment that these people are very practical. They have expectations of themselves, but they're also not, I guess, evangelical, I might say, about forcing that on other people. So they seem like a chill bunch, if I want to put it that way. Okay. Free people. The Dales have no central authority, and the Dalish owe allegiance to no one, including Stormhelm, which is the city that is outside of the Dales and the Old Empire stuff. So they do not owe allegiance to them. No monarch, nor leader, nor religion, nor fashion, nor idea has swept them off their feet en masse as a people for centuries, not since old Gwyrdelon fell. They're free people who own their land and labor, stock and sweat. They have themselves and their dales, and that's all they need. In the eyes of the Dalish, this self-possession, in the deepest sense of the word, is everything. Okay, usually I call out the words, but this time they did it for me. Self-possession. And I don't even feel like I have something smart to say about that, but I'm very interested to continue to explore this. It's just like, it makes me think of just being extremely centered, like they know who they are. Also kind of, again, I only have so many touch points. I wish I were better read in fantasy, but the Two Rivers in Wheel of Time, they're very much they're known as like a stubborn people, incredibly stubborn, but they're very much like, these are our values. This is who we are. This is what we do. So that's kind of the sense I'm getting from that. Solidarity over superiority. With this liberty, however, also comes adversity and responsibility. The Dalish understand well that survival on one's own is difficult, and that they need one another, and so they contribute a fair share of their produce, time, and skill to their fellow Dales people. Uh-oh. Revolutionary politics. Selfishness is seen as a misunderstanding of the facts of life from which one best and will quickly awaken. Nevertheless, the Dalish encourage each other to pursue their heart's wishes and to take care not to extinguish others' heartfelt desires and instincts. A parent may punish a child who expresses their hatred of farm work, yet the next day they'll put a packed lunch in their hand and send them to find another trade. Guys, it's London Station. It's just describing London Station. This is who we are. Minus, I'm not punishing anybody for... I'm like, you don't want to sing? But I do want people to find their trait. And I mean that in the most abstract of ways. Find your passion, find what makes you sing. Metaphorically, because I sing literally. Rugged exterior, hearts of gold. Outwardly, the Dalish are hardy mountain folk who can sometimes be gruff, brusque, curt, quick to point out flaws, nitpicky, petty, or hard-headed. Look at that. They're like, here's 7 weakness tags that you can evoke. Here's everything wrong with these people. Scratch the surface but a little, and you will discover the warm qualities underneath. Kindness, generosity, and care for all living things. All living things. Except maybe not creatures of twilight. Maybe we don't consider those living things. Maybe they compartmentalize that. But maybe they do still care for them. There is a sense of care, and like, creatures of twilight aren't evil, but they are incomprehensible and therefore dangerous, I think is the idea. Pepper, you want all the tags? These books are full of them. They're so full of them. This care is maintained throughout all Dalish relationships, alder person to villager, neighbor to neighbor, wayfarer to householder, elder to child. Naturally, temper, personality, and unavoidable grudges often make this difficult, but the Dalish will always remind each other of this fundamental Dalish way. You can choose your own path as long as you can meet your responsibilities. I love that too. But I mean, this is really talking about, communal living. It's community, and they rise and fall together. You're not going to do well if your neighbor dies in the winter because they didn't have enough firewood. So you help them out, and you hope they're not dragging their feet and not contributing to the good of their neighbors as well. It's a mutual support system. Stewardship of the wild, inner and outer. The Dalish feel a deep appreciation and care toward nature. They marvel at its beauties, but also respect and fear its dangers. For the Dalish, nature is unruly and at times uncontrollable, much like the human spirit. Fair. Close to home, it requires tending to and careful cultivation. Further away, it demands patience, a willingness to listen, and above all, alertness. Those who follow the Dalish way of life will take only what they need and always leave room for nature to be wild. But what they take, they grow with much care and attention and make the most of. To do so, they demand a lot of themselves. They rise early and toil much, working their patch of land with a great sense of responsibility, not out of imposed duty, but out of love. Yes. 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 Oh, man. I'm just basking in how much this is resonating with the world I want to see. Rustic fantasy aside, fictional setting book aside, this speaks to my heart. So, are we going to cry on this stream? I don't know. What troubles the Dalish? While they live a sheltered life in the Dales, the Dalish are not without worries. Okay, so we've got to worry about livelihood, natural dangers, social concerns, travel, the twilight. Let's see this. Whatever they may think of the unseen, capital U. Remember, that's how they call them. The average Dales person fears the things that creep in the dark or in the corner of their eye. And they also have to worry about a sense of what's to come. In recent years, astute Dales people are beginning to sense a change in the air, in the water, and in their hearts, and the thought of what it portends weighs heavily on them. No spoilers, but I have looked ahead, and there's something going on. There's actually something going on. That is kind of a soft inciting incident for the stories within Legend in the Mist to be told. So there's some stuff. There's some stuff going on out there. Let's see. While there are no fools, the Dalish do not generally ascribe evil motivations to human beings because they listen to Hanlon's razor. Creatures of Twilight are another business. There it is. Yeah. When they are faced with a selfish or even ruthless person, they chalk it up to a person's unchecked inner wildness. That is beautiful. I love that. I had this concept long ago when I was obsessed with Magic the Gathering and the color pie philosophy. If you're not familiar, it's a whole rabbit hole you can go down. But the idea being that, in Magic the Gathering, there are 5 colors of magic. They are sourced from different types of land, and you draw on that mana, and then you use it to cast spells, summon creatures, do all the stuff you do in the actual game. And for mechanical design considerations, but also flavor considerations, they put together, I don't know who they is in this context, but they put together this color pie concept, and it's a pentagon because it's the 5 colors. And there are allied colors that are kind of share some things in common, and then there are enemy colors that are across from them in the pentagon. And those have challenging or opposing views or methodologies. So green magic would be like nature and might, because in nature, survival of the fittest is a component. Black mana has like ambition and selfishness. Ambition and selfishness are not the same. You can have somebody who's personally ambitious and maybe not selfish, or maybe both. Anyway, I had this thought at one point that wouldn't it be interesting as we look out in the world and we're judging what we're seeing, what people are doing, what they're saying, like this is saying here, the Dalish do not generally ascribe evil motivations to human beings. Again, I said that's Hanlon's razor. If you're not familiar, that's, I believe, I might be wrong, that's the concept that do not ascribe to malice what can be appropriated to ignorance. Basically, if somebody does something to harm you or something disastrous, start by assuming that they didn't know better and work from there. Don't let yourself be taken advantage of, but as your default, try to look for the way that the person was not being malicious to you. Anyway, back to the color pie, I thought, wouldn't it be neat if, when we're evaluating the actions of our fellow humans, we didn't say, that was a good thing to do, or that was a bad thing to do, and put these binary judgments on it. You may still need to do that. But wouldn't it be also interesting to layer on top of that, that was a very red thing to do. And by red, I mean in Magic the Gathering, red is the color of passion and impulsiveness and rashness and artistry. It's a lot of things all mixed into one. But I always thought, wouldn't that be interesting if we could kind of add nuance to how we look at and judge the actions of others? You can only process what you have language for. And so that is what this unchecked inner wildness made me think of, because that to me means the Dalish people can look at each other and say, that was a very green thing of you to do. That was a very red and green thing of you to do. Doesn't excuse the action, but rant over. All right. That person is then treated as one would treat a mountain lion, cautiously keeping one's distance or fighting for one's life without hesitation or remorse. So even if it comes to violence, they're still kind of like, okay, well, you're just a mountain lion, and I will now deal with you as I would with a mountain lion. Luckily, truly evil acts have not been known to occur in the Dales for centuries. That's nice. It's genuinely nice in a setting book. There's some terrible places out there in the setting books, and the reason is usually the game designers are saying, we need to give you terrible places to fight. So that's why you have Nidal and Cheliax in Galarian Pathfinder stuff. These guys are devil worshippers, and these guys worship Zon-Kuthon, and they enjoy torture and pain, and it's awful. And you should not pick up the Nidal book from Pathfinder 1st Edition unless you're really into that stuff, because I tried to read it for research purposes, and I was like, nope, got to put that bad boy down. And it has content warnings thoroughly through it. It's like, hey, this is a messed up place. Take care of yourself while you're reading this, if you're going to read it. So it's not like they did anything below board, but anyhow, yeah, we got through, 2 pages? The Dales peace. Oh, is some sort of treaty? For as long as anyone can remember, the Dales have known peace. Although daily life offers numerous challenges, acts of violence are uncommon and open conflicts are unheard of. Even conflicts between man and nature and the unnatural remain few and far between. This state of affairs, which the Dalish value dearly, is known as the Dales peace. So it is not an official agreement. It is just a awareness of their status quo. And again, when you have language for something, you can talk about it. So when something is happening that is threatening the Dales peace, you can communicate that fast to your fellowly minded people. And then you can say, this is a threat to the level that it's risking the Dales peace. Understanding without laws. I got to figure out how to make Adobe stop flashing all over the place. Understanding without laws. The Dalish way of life developed over time into a set of social rules that is generally accepted by all Dales, also referred to as the Dales peace. Okay, so the rules are also referred to as the Dales peace. This understanding is somewhat rough around the edges and changes slightly from Dale to Dale, but its spirit is the same everywhere. To be fair, treat others with dignity and respect, and allow others their freedom. Golden rule stuff. We like the golden rule. Pepper loves the absolute downer regions in Galarian. You may have them to your heart's content. My character has a history from Nidal, and I've had to work that in carefully and gently, because there's abuse in there and all sorts of terrible stuff. And our main campaign is setting next to Sarkoris, which it's not as bad as it was, but there's been some plot stuff going on, and there's still more demons running around out there. So that's not the nicest place either. Keepers of the Dales peace. The Alder person. With the Dales lacking a central governing body, the elders of each village serve as its key authority figures, typically upholding their village's long-established routines. Their chosen liaison, an Alder person or mayor, is a voluntary role who serves for at least 4 seasons, then is commonly re-elected, representing the elders, addressing local concerns, and arranging village activities such as festivals, harvests, and village maintenance. The alderperson serves as the local judge, upholding bylaws and settling disagreements such as divorces, grazing rights, slander, and small claims. After deliberation with families and witnesses, they make their final ruling, which villagers largely accept, albeit at times begrudgingly. I was going to say, as somebody who interfaces with small local government daily, letting somebody go after 4 seasons, I get that they're commonly reelected, but they're just like, yeah, we generally want you to do it for a full year. I'm like, no, keep them for at least 2. It is so hard to build momentum and initiatives and get people on the same page. But on the other hand, the Dales aren't necessarily like pushing the progress. They're all kind of chilling. They're surviving. They're cutting their wood in the winter. So maybe they're not as worried about it as I have to be day to day. But then I read all this crap they have to do. So they're basically like the judge of the village as well. So that's a lot to shoulder. The Red Marshals. These guys I know have a presence on the western border where the Kragan Highlands are, where the Kragan Highlanders are the kind of raider nomad groups. But let's see where else they show up. Just as they understand their own wildness, the Dalish understand that a firm hand is sometimes needed in keeping the peace. More importantly, they believe someone should be watching over the peace, alerting others not only to wayward community members, but also to the myriad dangers of life in the Dales, and, on occasion, trouble drifting into the Dales from other places. The Red Marshals, get their own page here, we'll get to it, are the trained scouts and fighters who serve as constables and peacekeepers of the Dales, known for their ruddy, boiled leather armor. They consist of adventurous young volunteers who leave the Dale to train in their central barracks in Barleytown and are then appointed by their Grand Marshal to guard specific villages or patrol the roads. A role they may fulfill for a week or for a decade. Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Okay. A decade. Dang. A stationed Red Marshal handles simple altercations and misdeeds, petty crimes and quarrels, the rare case of banditry, or scaring off a bold wild animal. While in title, they answer to their superiors. In practice, they work under the guidance of the alder person. Interesting. Very interesting. Cool. They seem like a cool element, and I like that they get... They train in Barleytown, which is, again, the biggest or the only town. Everything else is a village. Town being bigger. Maybe universally, but definitely in this setting. And then they are appointed. So there is a it says their Grand Marshal. There may be more than one Grand Marshal. Anyway, to guard specific villages or patrol the roads. So they've got a big old map. And they've got to make sure they have coverage for when people take PTO and everything that goes along with it, All right. Let's see if we got to get these sidebars. War of Thaumaturges never reached the Dales, according to legend. Interesting. The Winter King stopped short of crossing the Shiverwash. Huh. No large-scale armed conflict has ever taken place in their land. So there is something to tread carefully with. You can make a story about a large-scale armed conflict taking place in the Dales, but it will be the first time, and you need to treat it with the extreme gravity that implies. Cool. The Dales' peace and might. The Dalish don't respond well to rabble-rousers or fleeting fashions. Okay, so this, we did not read the might rules in the core rulebook together yet anyway, so I'm just going to skip over this. But there is a concept that sometimes if you have adventure themes or greatness themes, they may be better at certain things and worse at other things. So greatness themes are not always the best things to have. It's not a linear power scale. There's always subjectivity to it. So that's what this is about. Yes. Okay. Old ways practitioners. The unseen is rarely spoken of publicly in the Dales, yet many Dalish take care to defend themselves against its threats. Many homes contain protective charms and ancestral wards, even if the inhabitants have forgotten their true meaning. Shrine keepers maintain the old ways rites, appeasing hidden spirits and nature's capricious moods. At times, old ways practitioners are the source of the problem, engaging in small acts of witchcraft against their fellow villagers. That's not good. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, because you've been running it, and I forget, this book literally was not fully out until last week. I don't know if you backed in the beginning or later, but because I was getting the updates starting in around January. They were as the chapters were getting done, but yeah, it's brand new. This is kind of entertaining. These old ways practitioners, they're not above being petty and messing with their neighbors. Every village has a practitioner at hand, a wise one, although sometimes it is required to fetch them from across the dale or up the mountain, that's important because it's not readily available. They can help assess an interference born of the twilight, usually no more than a home-brewed hex or a troubling dream, and offer a solution. So they can do the little stuff. If a wise one cannot solve the problem themselves, they know another practitioner who may, such as a fabled recluse, and send a capable villager or local outlander to consult them. So there's time. The point of all of this is that it may take time. You either have to get them there in the first place, hope they can fix it. If they can't, they might have to go out and get somebody else to fix it. And that can be the what spurs you on to adventure. Like in the starting comic of the core rulebook, Garen, the main character that you take through the Choose Your Own Adventure comic adventure, he's got to go out and try and find this remedy to try and save his mother. So it's like, well, they can't be everywhere and they can't do everything. And sometimes you're the one that's got to go hike up the mountain and find the fancy lichen flower or whatever it was. Right on, Alejandra. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by and for your kind words today and sharing out the stream. I appreciate it. We'll catch you later. Ah, yeah. The digital. Yeah, I backed for just the physical core rulebook, and now I'm like, dang it. Should have got the slipcase. Anyway. Traveling old ways practitioners may also come to the rescue. The ill-fated curse eaters walk the many crossroads and unhallowed places, cleansing cursed and blighted trinkets. Bone tenders, we did hear those mentioned last stream, travel the dales, ensuring old kingdom ruins and known creatures of twilight remain asleep. What? That's cool. So they've categorized some creatures of Twilight where they're like, hey, there's something over here slumbering, and what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the kids don't go into this cave and wake this thing up, or whatever else might like bring it to action. We're going to stone over the entrance to the mouth of this cave, or we're going to like never go to this clearing where this one like glowing tree is. Don't touch it. That's cool. They must have some sort of like little index or catalog where they're like, yeah, there's some stuff out there, stay clear of it. Traveling herbalists and witches frequent each dale in turn and always seem to arrive in time for trouble or leave just before. That's inconvenient. I mean, it's convenient if you're trying to run a rustic fantasy story game where the player characters are needed. If they solved everything, then you wouldn't be needed. Village under attack. Most villages have no fortifications, except for simple wooden fences. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so they recruit into an ad hoc militia if something comes up. And the rest shelter in the folk hearth, which is their like longhouse central building thing. The unseen. The Dalish believe in an invisible realm, not separate, but rather permeating the natural world. It is heard only in the whispers upon the wind, hinted at by the shifting shadows under the trees. It is a place of many hidden forces, some benevolent and others malicious, all of whom meddle with the lives of the Dalish. They see the unseen everywhere, in the gurgling stream and in the sudden storm, in the death of a loved one and in the handshake of an enemy, and always in the magic of twilight. So there is a... Ooh, I'll get the word wrong. I wanted to say animism, but it's not animism. It's a what's the word for when there's spirits in everything? Like there's magic in everything. So anyway, somebody will think of it, or we will all fail to think of it together. And that's community, so that works. All right. Folk beliefs, no religion. Maybe that's what I was looking for, is folk beliefs. Sometimes I just need to trust the text, guys. I like stop and I'm like, I wonder, and then it tells me in the next sentence. All Dalish, by and large, accept the reality of the unseen, the forces and beings that exist in the world beyond human perception. Attitudes toward it vary greatly, based on local tales and life experiences, resulting in many disparate folk beliefs. There is no organized religion in the Dales. Instead, the old ways offer a variety of traditions, rituals, and practices that bridge between everyday life and the unseen, and each person chooses their own relationship with the world beyond sight. Given how thorough this book is, I'm expecting that we're going to see some of these varieties of traditions and etc. But I think it's really neat that that you can have one old ways practitioner that's like does things entirely different to the next one. So one comes into the village and they're like mashing up poultices and they're doing whatever, and then the next one that comes in is like, oh, I'm gonna like jingle these chimes in front of you, and you're like, what? That's not what the last person did. And they're like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. This is just what works for me. Panpsychism, no idea, but I've heard the term. And you might be right. Let's Google it. Panpsychism. The view that all things have a mind or mind-like quality. Oh, yeah. This was coming up because I was getting sucked into a YouTube rabbit hole a couple months ago about consciousness. Yeah. I think, yeah, that feels like a very modern, like, philosophical take on it. And it's the same concept, but like translated into these Dales people. I think that is the notion. Full-fledged practitioners of the old ways profess to preserve the wisdom of the lady, capital L lady, and her ancient followers left behind to safeguard the Dalish folk. Read more about them later. We will, probably. Some practice their path alone with personal shrines or secret woodland rites, while others practice as families, circles, or groups, or in mass communal festivals. Consulting a practitioner of the old ways is a common affair in the Dales. Such practitioners, if they offer their services to the public, are widely referred to as wise ones. Let's see the attitudes here. We have practical skepticism or agnosticism. They generally brush it off. They accept that it has effect on their life, but they don't even see the point in trying to understand it. And they are doubtful. If somebody ascribes something to the unseen, they're like, well, maybe. But, that boy always cries wolf kind of a thing. Theirs is the grounded, healthy approach to what one cannot know. So it's the embrace of the agnosticism, which is the I don't know answer. And they seem very at peace with that. I mean, relatively at peace. There's still unease when the thing that they don't understand is sniffing around, the town. But, yeah. Anxiety and fear. Some of them obsess over the forces that prowl the unseen and how that'll affect their lives. So they're just kind of a nervous wreck. That's a bummer. Yeah, they're kind of the, if they pay regular visits to a wise one for charms and blessings of protection, they're kind of the hypochondriacs of the worries about the creatures of twilight. Reverence and stewardship. Okay, I want to read this one. Sensible Dalish may see the unseen as merely an aspect of nature that should be treated and held in the same high respect as the seen natural world. To them, the unseen may be wild and dangerous, but it is also a part of life that must be cared for. Such Dales people partake in personal or communal rites as part of tending to their spiritual environment and preparing for the seasons, just as they clean their house or stomp the grapes together in the summer. So this is kind of your paganism of and I apologize if I'm using paganism incorrectly, but that kind of like all is one and all needs care and everything serves a purpose in the great wheel of life or whatever you want to say, and then they ritualistically participate in that. The Dalish see the unseen as the home of creatures of twilight, often calling it the twilight, especially in a dark or disturbing context. Okay, I think I messed this up earlier because I said the unseen was what they call the creatures of twilight, and they may, but actually no. The unseen is a metaphysical place. I think it's like the world overlaid on top of the world within the world kind of a thing, where they're coexisting and things bleed back and forth between them. So the unseen is where they believe the creatures of twilight are homed in, and it's called the twilight, which is really cool. That is a really cool detail. Some respond with fascination. A handful of Dalish have an attraction to the unseen rooted in a desire to discover its mysteries. They may find answers in apprenticing to a wise one or overstep the taboos and engage the unseen in ways both dangerous and unpredictable. Those who go looking will certainly find something, though they may not be the same when they return. Some withdraw from social ties and become recluses, dedicating themselves to a lifelong search. So these are all character hooks as well, right? As you're thinking of a character in this setting, you could ask yourself, and probably should ask yourself this question, whether or not it lands on a theme or on your character sheet. What is your character's perspective on the unseen and the old ways? And these are the four main ways that people in the Dales tend to think and feel about the unseen. So I would pick one. I would do that. Because it'll inform your relationship with these elements that are going to come up. They're a part of the world, I would do it. The Lady of the Dales, the unwritten tenets of the Dalish to care for life and heart of oneself, but also of others and of the land around, emanate from a long time ago, passed down through generations as a unique Dalish sensitivity. Okay. Taught from one Dales person to another by way of example. Some say this was always the way in the Dales, since ages past, long before old Gwyrdalin. And some say that these qualities were accentuated by the grace of the Lady of the Dales, the mysterious and distant matron of the land. No Dales person who lives today knows who the lady was, or whether she is anything more than a legend in the mist. It doesn't say that. Dalish people invoke her name in awe or fear, but as they subscribe to no religion and no master, they do not worship the lady, though they may pray to her. But the lady remains a steadfast symbol of the Dalish way of life, and especially the earnest Dalish way of conducting oneself with one's own, with others, and in the world. So she's your positive role model example. Right. So the Lady of the Dales was a mysterious and distant matron of old Gwyrdalin. all that actual knowledge of who she was or wasn't, or if she ever existed, is lost to time. Oh, this is good. Sayings invoking the Lady of the Dales. I love these sections, especially in setting books where if you're going to live and breathe within it, that they give you the actual sayings that people use in the setting. The Dalish don't mention the lady often. These expressions are becoming rarer and more old-fashioned. Interesting. Meaning, if somebody uses these, that tells you something about their character. That they are old-fashioned. Or they've been around rare influences. By the lady, general exclamation. Over the lady's head, somewhere unknown or unreachable, can be used to tell someone to get lost or account is... Did I mess that up? Can be used to tell someone to get lost or account is true where to shove things. My brain is not processing that syntax. A more crass version, under the lady's hood, is frowned upon. Okay. Yeah. Why don't you go take a hike over the lady's head, basically. May the lady bless them, referring to a problematic individual or group. Oh, this is the bless your heart. Bless your heart made it in. May the lady bless you, you piece of crap. As the lady's laughter countenance to me, expressing approval and delight similar to music to my ears. Yeah, considered very old-fashioned. No more than the lady's beard, doubting that a tale, report, or account is true. Presumably, they do not conceive of the lady as having a beard. Right on. Common practices and rituals. The practices below are used everywhere in the Dales with some variations. Normally, they are conducted by a practitioner who is versed in the particular art required. A charm maker for charms, a hearth witch for home rituals, such as a hero with these themes and tags that represent such aptitude. However, the old ways are everywhere, and they emerge in the strangest ways. It's possible for a layperson to overhear and memorize a chant and then try it again on their own. Don't leave me hanging. What happens then? Or for an herbalist to try to pray at a shrine. These little acts of practical magic work for anyone, but lacking dedicated training, aka tags. Like that. There's a good chance the ritual will fail or even backfire. The narrator may also deem a ritual or remedy too elaborate or skillful for a person without tags to perform. Require the tag. Yeah. That's neat. This is, again, emphasizing, we're going back into rules concepts here. That diegetically, and by diegetically I mean what is true in the fiction becomes true in the rules, I guess is how I would condense that to a very small thing. That if you overhear a chant, and you say, I want to learn that chant, and your guide, game master, I forget what they're called in this system. If they say like, okay, well, you can practice learning that chant or whatever, and the next time that you take an advancement or however the terminology is, then you can add like this chant as a tag to your theme if you have a theme that fits. And then you can actually have that and invoke that. Because like it says, these little acts of practical magic work for anyone. And if you have a tag, then you don't necessarily have to face the chance that it'll fail or backfire. So you can just take these little world-building elements and be like, now I can do that. And that's really cool. You don't have to be a spellcasting class or anything. You could be anyone if you want to learn the chant. Just spend the upgrade to learn the chant, you know? It's cool. It's called the Unseen for a reason. The effects of Dalish rituals are subtle, limited, and invisible as appropriate for origin-level magic actions. They can often be excused or explained in other ways. Interesting. So that'd be like someone is going to say, I'm going to do this ritual to invoke the rain for our crops. But then you might look back at it and say, you know, they have that knee injury that always acts up when it's about to rain. And maybe they're not even aware of it. But they're doing the thing to summon the rain, but they also maybe have a very practical reason for why they can sense it because of the barometric pressure or whatever. Stuff like that. Everyday blessings. So we're into tags and statuses here. I'll let you guys peruse that on your own. Milestone rituals. Nativity charms. So for pregnancy, birth, and stuff. Coming of age. Oh, love rituals. You love to see it. Gotta have love in an RPG, right? Marriage or binding rituals, if you want to call them that. Very cool. Love it. Forbidden worship of the dead. Yeah, I would expect that's not a hot topic here. For the Dalish, the soul of the deceased descends to the dark waters below the land, where it peers at the reflection of its deeds, good or bad, and from there returns to the sky. Interesting. You go down, you watch your highlight reel. The dead should be allowed to depart. Worshipping or praying to one's dead loved ones, ancestors, or leaders tethers their soul to the unseen and turns them into terrible, hungry creatures of twilight. Damn. This is impactful. It is dangerous to speak to a ghost of a deceased loved one. One can never truly know if they are indeed the soul of that person. Wow. Okay, so what's hitting me about this is obviously we are here in the real world, not in the Dales, and we have numerous cultures that interact with death differently. But by and large, I think there is a lot of tradition around end of life that is about remembering the person, celebrating the person. And this could be touching on, you do want to process and grieve and move on, ultimately, yes. But this is saying like, hey, as soon as you can stop thinking about this person that's no longer with us, the better. The sooner you can stop praying to them, because there's no organized religion here anyway, the better. Because they're going to turn into monsters and come back. It is kind of dark, yeah, is underselling it a little. Now, is this true in the fiction? We don't know. We know this is what they believe, and we know this is how they act. And we know that from this, we know that they're very much like, hey, you got to move forward. You got to move on. It's always about looking forward. And we're not gonna spend our lives mourning the dead. So it is kind of that Dalish practicality, I suppose, in a way. Yeah. But that's heavy. I think about like children, and the houses, I think it said in the early part, where the houses are usually filled with like 5 to 7 people. And I think of, frontier living even back, in the 1800s in the United States. You'd have 5 or 6 children, and 3 of them would be lost to the flu one year. And yeah, it's just sobering to think about a child having to learn to deal with this, because the characters you're playing were children in this setting as well. And they've been informed by the culture that they grew up in. Heavy is the word. We've got new home building rituals. We got breaking pacts. What are you making pacts with out here? You should not be making pacts with things to start with. Don't make a pact that needs to be broken. Stop it. That's not a good practice. Okay. Let's read this. Over a torchlit fresh grave or a cremation pyre, stories are told of the deceased until dawnbreak. The stories must continue throughout the night, or else a dirge must be sung solemnly to ensure the peaceful departure of the soul. So they basically say like, hey, here's your time. Get it all out. Process it. By the time the sun comes up, it's a new day, and we're moving on. Still heavy. Still very heavy. Shrines. Little shrines dot the landscape everywhere in the Dales, owing to a shrine building tradition as old as the land itself, wherein old ways practitioners erect little dolmens and cairns in places of natural beauty, or where a terrible disaster has happened. Many Dalish have shrines in their homes. Cool. I like that. Dalish pray, make offerings, stand vigil, or conduct rituals at shrines to appease or ask for the protection of local tutelary spirits of the unseen, to bare their heart and whisper secrets, or even to call wrath upon their enemies, a taboo practice which can birth a curse. That's where your curses and your pacts are coming from. People messing around, trying to bend the world to their whims. A shrine usually calls upon the nearby land, such as a wooded area, a crossroad, a waterfall, or the fields of a village. Some shrines tap into darker forces such as revenge, disease, or the rotting stench of a swamp. I literally just talked about Magic the Gathering and how the mana sources come from the land. And here it is. That's cool. That is cool. All right, festivals. Actually, let's do this sidebar first. Sacrifices to creatures. Public worship of creatures of twilight is a terrifying notion for Dale's people. One that evokes dark tales from the Wanderlands where such practices are told to be common. So this is cool, because you can just drop somebody into a campaign and you're like, your characters are in their homes or whatever. Somebody bursts in the door and they're just like, somebody's doing like I can't think of the words. They're doing a ritual to the creatures of twilight in the town square, and like there's probably this morbid curiosity of like, oh my god, like I'm terrified, but also I got to see this. So yeah, I would just drop somebody in there who's doing that and be like, figure it out. Nevertheless, some Dales folk make sacrifices to local cunning creatures. Why is that capitalized? We'll find out later, probably. To appease or to beseech. In Upper Heartland, the creature known as the Harvest Hag does show up and consume the year's harvest if sufficient grain isn't left out for her. Maybe true, maybe not true, but they believe it. Some communities unknowingly feed local creatures with offerings left at shrines, and the woodland cult of the Crow steal personal items and gift them to their devilish Corvine god for reasons unfathomable. Dang, there's all sorts of stuff going on out here. All sorts of little micro religions and faiths and stuff. Lots to play off of. All right, let's get to festivals and parties. Harvest. The festival represents the height and swan song of the autumn crone, the figurative symbol of the season, her wisdom and abundance available to all. Rituals of gratitude and plenty abound, and well-deserved rewards, such as to a hardworking farmhand or dutiful sibling, are bestowed, blessing both giver and recipient with good luck. Sage advice is dispensed, and earnest divination proves especially insightful. So it is the Harvest Festival, specifically. Cool. Hi. How are you doing? How was your game? I hope it was good. You'll have to watch the beginning of the stream. That's all I'm going to say. Welcome in. We're talking about what are we talking about? The Dalish, like their culture as a people, and it's fascinating. They got some crazy beliefs about death. That's for sure. Yeah, Harvest Festival is where it's at. That's where it's at in this place, I'm sure. Witherlight. Harvest is followed immediately by Witherlight, a solemn 3-day funeral for nature. Oh. Where milky glass and horn-paneled lanterns paint villages and homes in eerie pale ghost lights. Wow, that's neat. That's really cool. I don't know what to say other than it's really cool. A more somber affair, its rituals focus on endings, goodbyes, and mourning, and remembering who and what was lost this year. But not too much. So, you can remember you're dead, but there's a time and a place. 24 hours after you have their torch burning on their grave, and Witherlight. Otherwise, let's not think about the dead people, and we'll just go on our way. Slappiest of slap fights. You'll love to see it. The rustic vibes are flowing. They are flowing like milky glass and horn-paneled lanterns. This is a cool concept. Oh, did I even finish reading it? No, I did not. Let me finish first, and then I'll rant. Families huddle closer as they prepare to survive the coming cold. Other darker festivities are performed to appease the creatures of twilight, such as the Poppet Drifting Festival in Silverbrook. I love how this puts me in a place of, just seeing characters, come together in, one main home and just, I don't know, be in this kind of funeral for nature and just kind of this melancholy acceptance of the passage of time and seasons and everything. There is I don't know if this is explicitly tied to any particular pagan belief system, but there's a conception out there of the 6 seasons of the year. There's the main 4, which are, see if I can remember them on stream for crying out loud: spring, summer, fall, winter. But they also, in between fall and winter, and in between winter and spring, they have what they call a locking and an unlocking season, because that's when you're winterizing, and it's like a micro season. And it also ties into the locking of the earth because of the permafrost. So the earth itself is locked up. The doors are boarded up. The windows are shuttered. Everything is drawn within. And it's this really cool kind of concept of a 5th and a 6th season that I've heard described before. So that's neat. Witherlight is considered a time where boundaries are undone. Yeah, because it's Halloween, including boundaries with the unseen. This vulnerable state is ideal for dark, underhanded, or forbidden rituals. There's more tags for you, Pepper. And wise ones and householders must toil doubly on the protection of the home against winter's darkness. The Dalish liken winter to nature's night's sleep, hibernation, or gestation period. A state of seemingly inert stillness as it regains its strength for the coming spring, making this time also good for breaking deep-seated curses or maladies. Yeah, why not? Hanging out inside, let's break some curses. The Dalish awaken from their home-bound hibernation with the first snow melt and tree buds, celebrating nature's rebirth into the Sprigburn. I was going to say Springburn. Sprigburn. It's a fire festival. Oh. That's interesting. This fire festival and a hearty feast, also known as Spring Clean, lasts 3 days and 3 nights and honors home and hearth for providing shelter through winter. The days are spent repairing the village's folk hearth, good, and other structures, as well as honoring and assisting elderly people. Announcements of engagements or new ventures or revelations of pregnancies considered unlucky during winter are common. Young couples tie ribbons to trees to attract their summer love. Cute. Cute. Never mind, curse breaking is anti-spooky. Are you pro-spooky? Maybe the curse breaking people, they can't get to the village that season. Switches of rowan, birch, and ash are lit and swung in sowing blessings and ritual pyres. Spells of intent and purpose for the future hold greater power at this time. Neat. That is neat. Okay, let's presume that this is literally true within the setting. This tells you that the world of Legend in the Mist is sensitive to and responds to the seasons. And there's enough in this game and setting about stars and moons and the sun that I'm going to assume that we're on a planet and we are orbiting a sun. And I like the cosmological sense that magic knows where the earth itself, the planet itself, the ground itself is relative to the life-giving nature of a star. Where you are in your orbital eclipse, or not eclipse, your elliptical orbit is what I was trying to say. Where you are in your elliptical orbit, where you are relative to which stars are in the sky at which time, which could be incidental, what the tilt of the planet on its axis is. I like that this one line implies that the planet, the earth, the everything that is all woven together knows that. There's a knowing, the universe knowing itself. And let's boost your magic while we're in this particular season. I think that's neat. I like to overthink stuff like that, though. Special items crafted during winter are kindled with greater power through incantations, markings, and fire or bright firelight. That's so cool. Now I want to have a character who's I want to make a business model out of making kindled goods in the winter and then selling them. And then I travel the rest of the year and I sell them off to the other Dales. That's so cool. Business opportunity. The beating of the bounds, in capitals, also performed with wooden switches, is an essential ceremony that reestablishes the boundaries of a village, farm, or house against calamity and the twilight after they were erased by winter's snow and neglect. So you're putting your wooden palisades back up, your fences and stuff. Summer festivities. The season of summer, represented by the summer hen or summer hare, a sun goddess, boasts a great many festivals, some local and others regional, when the Dalish take short breaks from their toil to revel in merriment and the joy of simply being alive. Some families gather at crossroads and enjoy picnics with foods from the first spring crops, honoring their ancestors with a drink. Others spend the day decorating their homes with ancestral colors, parading... Okay, pause. What are your ancestral colors? Fun thing to think about for a character. They matter. They matter in the setting, and everybody likes colors, and you can choose them. And the game is saying, hey, let me help make you a living, breathing person in this world. Answer that question. Players in my game. Parading their herds, singing and dancing, and in the evening, lighting ritual bonfires. One such festival, known as Grain Day, marks harvest beginning. Specialized breads and cakes are baked and served, as well as exclusive beers and meats. We did hear about the bees last time. Many sports competitions take place around this celebration, such as Milkrest's infamous cheese rolling festival. Gotta have it. I'm not up late. What you talking about? It's only 8 o'clock here, buddy. Maybe you're up late, and I'm okay with it. Purple, what other color is there? Well, I'll have you know that there's purple, and then there's blue, and then there's pink. But if you got those, you're probably fine. Summer rituals are as diverse as its festivities, but are characterized by boisterous music and bright colors. Revelry and passion are especially potent in evoking the desires of the unseen. In Wood End, parents beseech their teens not to remove their embroidered sashes, a defense against foolish love and the guiles of the woodland spirits known as the Vila. That's brand new, hasn't been mentioned yet so far. Yeah, you Eastern guys, I try to make it work, but sometimes I don't get off work till 6, and then I got to start at 7, and that's 9 for you, so we do what we can. Let's check our sidebars here. The Year Walk. In unspoken tradition, the Year Walk ritual is undertaken by Old Ways pilgrims seeking insight into their destiny or answers to their burning questions. That seems cool. Old Ways pilgrims. Okay. Beginning on Sprigburn, the practitioner travels to sacred sites across... It's a pilgrimage, yeah. Sacred sites across the Dales, meditating, making offerings at each site. And then they can get true enlightenment from the lady, and most fail. Others go mad. Oh, man. I walked around all year, and I went mad. That's rough. Perhaps from the reward of foreknowledge. Gotta be careful out here. Theatrical and symbolical effigies... Characters of legend, reflections of nature, paraded around town. So you've got a parade going on. Very cool. Okay, and here's a list of characters that we've seen some of these so far. Autumn Crone, Old Winterbane, which I think is the Winter King, I presume. Same character, different name. Margrave of Stormhelm, I think that's come up, I don't recall. Summer Hare, that's the summer hen or hare, the sun goddess, and the Lady of the Dales. Sometimes sneaky practitioners hide talismans inside with spells on them. You're not supposed to do that, presumably. That's why you gotta sneak it. Okay, daily affairs. The life of a Dales person is centered around their family, greater community, and the traditional boundaries of their dale, and only rarely do their attention and thoughts wander to places and people beyond. With daily errands to attend to and family drama to care about, one needn't bother oneself with matters elsewhere. They're just like, keep your own town, your own house in order, and everything will be fine. The Dalish spend their time herding, farming, cooking, celebrating, playing, storytelling, and arguing. Their life is full of little joys and hardships, centered around only a few square miles, which mean the world to them. That's cute. I like it. Living close to nature, a Dales person is likely to be surrounded by flora and fauna all their life, coming to know intimately the typical buzzing of evening insects and the bitter taste of speckled mushrooms native to their dale. They can taste the change of weather on the wind. That sounds fantastical. And know where to cross the brook down the hill, even during dark, cloudy nights. They also gain unfortunate familiarity with local maladies and dangers, learning the early signs of the shivers, and which cave openings to avoid for fear of snakes. Do snakes go in caves? Is that a thing? I don't have caves out here, but I have snakes. And they're no caves. They just cruise. They just cruise around. Rattlesnakes, bull snakes. That's what I've got. A relaxed keeping of time. Overall, daily life in the Dales passes with pronounced regularity, adhering to daily and seasonal cycles. The Dalish are lax with their account of time, as weeks, moons, aka months, and seasons have varying lengths and are determined individually by each community, sometimes by each person. I'm curious if we're going to get a setting calendar. I generally think those are a bad idea because they're just tough for us to understand, and then you have players who I don't want to learn the new names of the months. I don't want to... So I enjoy it when we track time in New Dawn. We use the names of the months in Galarian, but we just do it same one-to-one calendar as our living. So that's how we do it. A day is sunrise to the next. Week 7 to 9. What? Are we telling me that the Dales can't agree on what a week is? It could make for some humorous times. A period of 7 to 9 days, followed by a day of rest or recreation. So we're talking 8 to 10 days, chosen by each individual family or community for themselves. Next week means not in the immediate days, but not as late as within a moon. Oh my God. Scheduling is a nightmare. Could you imagine these guys trying to schedule an RPG session? No, they do not. Blades in the Dark names the hours of the day? Okay. I could understand because they're inside the lightning dome or whatever the heck the thing is. And so they don't have like normal cycles. Okay, say more. Say more. Keep going. That's actually kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, or you could just use normal time. 10 days cool, though. That's a neat concept. Is that a particular setting in D&D, or do they do that everywhere? Yeah, fair. I didn't realize the sun literally exploded in Blaze in the Dark. Now I want to go like analyze the cosmology of Blades in the Dark. That'll be a stream someday. It's like, what's the cosmology of these settings? Moon is one full moon to the other, roughly 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, these people need to get their act together, man. A time period characterized by natural changes, often marked with a festival on each end. So they're not even like accurately tracking seasons. They're just vibe. They're just vibe calendaring. That's all this is. They're just living their best life, you know? We can let them live their best life. A year is 4 subsequent seasons. This is so funny. I don't know how much mileage you can get out of this actually at a table. This is more of a section where I'm just kind of like, okay, neat, but we actually need to function and communicate. So we're probably not going to mess with that too much. A Dalish person may say it's been 17 winters since the Great Avalanche, 2 or 3 moons before young Knot is ready to travel to the pasture market, or 42 springs since Grandma finished the famous quilt bedding we cherish so much. They may say that. That's good for them. Forgotten Realms, okay. Which I guess is considered the main one? I don't know. The Barleytown calendar. Okay, all right, hold on. Here we go. All right, we're going to straighten it out. We're going to fix it. In the towns and larger villages on the Dales, places where people have to do business, accurate timekeeping is more in demand for bookkeeping purposes. Traders and visiting outsiders use the calendar of Barleytown's keeping of years, KY, which began with the founding of Barleytown 871 years ago, although the Dales have been populated long before that. It is currently the year 871 KY. We breathe a sigh of relief. We know where we are in the time stream. This keeping of years is aligned with the Gwyrdalin calendar still used in Stormhelm. Good. How'd they get the name for it then? Well, I guess it's not it's not BY, it's KY. So it's keeping of years, whatever. According to both calendars, the year begins in early spring near the Dalish Sprigburn festival, whereas the common Dalish belief is that the year begins before winter at Witherlight. This is neat, but I don't think I'm going to use it or touch any of this. I think I'm just going to go, here's a calendar you're all familiar with. A fellowship traveling the Dales and taking measurements so they can invent the first calendar would be a cool adventure. Okay, fair. That would be cool. Even though we've got the Barleytown calendar, even if we found some people were just like, I'm just fed up with this. Let's go figure this out. Let's go be cartographers. Tell me about your cartography campaign. That's what I want to know. Get your sextants out and stuff. I'm a nerd for that stuff. And other things, as you know. This is some cool like script over here. The Dalish language. This is all hardtack, isn't it? In the storeroom. Cool. Sorry, I'm just absorbing the art. As I silently am just like looking around the screen. Yeah, there's all sorts of little squashes in here, grains, root vegetables, leeks, or onions, or whatever we got going on here. Corn shucks. Cool. Seasonal activities. Winter. As snow falls, the Dalish settle in for the long winter, caring for livestock in their barns, clearing snow-laden paths, and finishing indoor craft projects. Winter serves as the time of community and reflection, interspersed with festivities and family gatherings to help stave off the oppressive nights. So for our recreation, we got snowshoeing, roasts, stories, knitting, sewing, other home crafts. I know some of y'all are doing these things. Common dangers. Cold, snowstorms, avalanches, sickness and malnutrition, vermin. Hexia. We don't know what those are yet. Out of the Witchwood. So actually that might have come up last stream. That might be the generalized name they give the creatures that do come out of the Witchwood to the north. No potatoes in there. Are there no potatoes in there? No French fries. No French fries, Pepper. Sorry. In spring, the Dalish emerge from their homes freed from the tight grip of winter. They devote themselves to sowing the fields, repairs, and tending to newborn animals. Travel is still limited, with ice melt and snow melt turning the roads muddy and soupy. That's true. That's definitely out here. That's how it is. I've had times where I almost couldn't get to work because the road was too muddy. Like, I got like 1 mile of dirt road before I hit the highway, and if it's out, I'm just like, I almost slid into the ditch, so that's real. Spring is a time of bursting forth of youth, energy, and rampant growth. We are hill walking, picnics, archery, flower picking, and wreath making. Dangers are rains, mudslides, pollen storms. Yikes. Venomous snakes. Poison oak, skunk season. Oh, skunk season. I guess. Puvka. Is this another creature that I've never heard of? I'm not going to repeat the chamois situation. I did look up that word I didn't know last stream. It's chamois, which I knew for the thing that you buff out like cars with, but that's where that's from. It's from that creature. The hide of that creature is apparently whatever. Anyway, I'm Googling this and I'm not getting anything useful. So I have no idea what this means. That's okay. Puvka. Mischievously masquerade as stray lambs. So there's some sort of creature then. So they're probably tied to the setting, not a real thing. Giant well toads cross the roads looking for a new pond. How giant? Gloam wolves smash granaries, perhaps to feed pups. Gloam wolves. Some of these names are awesome. That's crazy. You got wolves smashing granaries? That's a building. That's a full-on building. What are we doing here? This is nuts. Cunning creatures prey on the first Dale's folk to venture out alone. Okay. Pepper. Look what we got. We have names for the hours of the day. All right. First light, sunrise, morning, noon, afternoon, eventide, sunset, starshine, silver light, owl watch, dead of night. Now this I would use in a campaign. Because we can get this, right? We understand this. And we don't have to mess with our concept of like, wait, is a week 7 days or am I in the other town where a week is 9 days? And that just feels a little tedious. This I love, especially because they sound awesome as heck. Starshine, Silverlight. I will say though, okay, mild rant. I mean, you can't have an hour called Silverlight referring to the moon because the moon is not always out at the same hours of every night because it's on a different cycle. Anyway, I'm a little moon obsessed. It's a cool rock. It's my favorite rock, matter of fact, the moon. If you ever had to ask. Summertime. By summer, the dales are in full swing as the fields are plowed and crops planted. Herds are taken to the upper slopes, and other industries such as hunting and timber require greater attention. With the roads clear, peddlers and merchants make their tour of the dales, and marketplaces are bustling. You got swimming, fishing, outdoor merriment, late-night bonfires, sports, and competitions. And you got to watch out for sunstroke, floods, drought, wildfires, insect swarms. Unrequited love and broken hearts are listed in the common dangers inherent to summertime. You've got springtime for your new love and summer to see if it lasts. Village strife. The Vila hold outdoor feasts in the Aldenweald to beguile impressionable youth. Okay. I'm getting a picture of what these creatures are now. Turnskins and Wanderland sorcerers show up on the roads. Dale's folk exploring nature trespass into a godling's land or a mandragora's vine trap. Yikes. Ties across valleys. The migratory herders of each village follow established routes throughout the grazing year, of course. They come in contact, they retreat. There's a cyclical flow of the animal trade. The friends of summer and the family of winter. That's kind of a cute concept. I like that. Unending maintenance. Without constant intervention, the natural world swiftly reestablishes itself. Holes widen, tools break, paths become overgrown, and drains block. Yeah, so if you're going into changes in seasons, these are the obstacles that you want to put in front of people. Challenges, so on and so forth. Where to eat and drink, places I'm sure we could think of. Autumn. In autumn, as crops ripen and the chill sets in, the major harvests are underway throughout the land. This busy time dominates most of Dalish life as people prepare for winter's arrival, preserving foods and stocking cellars and granaries. We've got feasts and cookouts, festivals, dances, house decorations. Dangers are overeating. Okay. Heavy rains. Mraukin infest the larder. That's got it. I need to know what that is. Crows attack the corn. Red crop afflicts granaries. A reeling harvester may tear up a field unexpectedly. In Witherlight, old ruins stir and dolmens and cairns spread curses, so more curse eaters come around. Halloween. Twilight creeps closer as winter draws near. Okay. Twilight. Capital T Twilight, which you could miss because it's the beginning of a sentence. But that is like Twilight. The unseen. The world beyond the world. Yeah. Cool. Cuisine. Food and drink feature heavily in Dalish celebrations and daily lives. We've got communal areas, lively taverns, drinks. Tea houses are common fixtures in villages, providing quiet peace and refined cuisine. So these are our cafes. And so you can play Pumpkin Spice in Ravensdale. Crossover campaign. That would be so easy to port in. It really would. It's so funny. I was going to say something about Pumpkin Spice today, but I forgot what it was. If it comes to me, I will share it. In Barleytown, food stalls line 5 Points Market and its main thoroughfares, offering bowls of spiced meats and starchy wonder. Barleytown seems like it would be a nice place to go. I mean, it wouldn't be a day trip, but like, hey, let's go on a like mini vacation to Barleytown, and we'll get a place, and we'll go out to the market, and we'll, of course, if you're doing that and you're living in the Dales, you're probably rich to even be able to just casually do that for a vacation. But it sounds like a neat time. The majority of Dalish diet comes from the food grown and harvested around one's own dale. Agricultural land consists of meadows and pastures devoted to grazing animals, the kind of which changes between the dales. Great. Small orchards, planted fields, foraging, hunting. And there is a cooking section with specific recipes in here. I flipped forward the other day and I saw it. I was like, wow. We're about an hour and a half in and we've done like 10 pages. So that's about the pace that we've been on. Oh, this was what I was bragging about the last stream when I saw these in the art before I actually saw the explanation for them. Currency remains an unusual concept. So it's a bartering economy. And then they will trade these iron rings and coins literally for the value of the iron itself. So the currency is of its own inherent value. Maybe we'll finish by 2027. I mean, at some point, I'm going to have to read this all on my own so I can actually run the game. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know if we'll do a fourth Legend in the Mist stream, or if we do, we should probably go back and actually read the core rulebook. Maybe I'll do that on my own too. So portability, yeah. So they trade in these goods that actually have inherent value. And we said this last stream, the fact that like they don't like tarnishing things that are good for jewelry, gold mending, and dusted art. They don't like treating that as currency because it takes away from the value of the thing itself. Pepper. I don't know. I'm so busy, Pepper. I have like 300 things I want to stream about. I've got Astro Prisma going too. But yeah, it did occur to me at one point I could do that. That was when I wasn't sure I was going to commit to running a group game. I was like, well, if I don't do a group game of Legend in the Mist, I'll do it solo. See how it goes. Ancient amber coins. In Old Gwyrdalin, amber coins were the common currency. Amber coins. That's neat. Because my brain translated that to copper, but it's not. It's amber. Carved with exquisite craftsmanship, which might be an adventure-level feat quite challenging to forge. These distinct, beautiful, and rare items now hold special value in the Dales. Any Dales person, even the most isolated recluse, would accept such an ancient coin in return for great favor or service performed. It's taboo to refuse the request of somebody presenting an amber coin with 3 exceptions. Wow, okay, let's go. If the task is beyond one's ability, okay, because then if you take the coin, you're doing it with like false pretense. If performing it would harm one terribly, okay. If one already possesses an amber coin, you're not supposed to hoard these things. That's cool. That's kind of cool. I mean, like, it's like a status thing in town. You're like, did you hear that, River has an amber coin or whatever? That's cool. I like that. Most Dales people are happy to oblige such a trade and take the task with grave seriousness. Holding a Gwerdalin amber coin is considered very lucky, as well as a handy nest egg for times of trouble. This is like the people who are like, oh, I'm going to go get a nugget of gold and bury it in my backyard. Although I don't think they'd bury this. Those are gorgeous, though. Those are really cool. Have an NPC pull one out like once per campaign, and it's a huge deal. Yeah. I would seed it. I would seed it so that it's like, oh, only 2 people in our entire village have it, and one of them is the alder person, and the other one is, old woman whatever who's an old ways practitioner. But yeah. Okay, what are we talking about here? The value of a Gwerdalin amber coin saving one's life or that of a loved one? What does that mean? It means if you save somebody's life, they're like, I owe you a life debt, but instead here's an amber coin. That's the value of it, though. That's huge. Accompanying one through great danger. A season of work. A season of work? This is Bitcoin. That's how valuable this is. Probably not even, but 3 milking cows, building a home, removing a terrible or persistent curse, traveling to a distant or dangerous place, and fetching something. This is a challenge, though. Yeah, a life is equivalent to a season of work or 3 milking cows. This actually seems like it would be a significant GM challenge. How do you get the players, the IRL players, to be as excited for these amber coins as their characters should be? I feel like that is a unique challenge that you would have to build up a lot about the value of these things. And it's probably something you would want to do. You'd want to do it by having a narrative beat in the game where an amber coin was exchanged for something huge to set the stakes for their value. That's how you'd have to do it. You'd have to show, don't tell, basically. But make it a big deal, right? Yeah. Challenging. We like challenges. In everything there is a story. Music, song, dance, and art feature deeply in the Dalish life, always woven into a great cultural tapestry that records and retells the Dales people's favorite stories. These are kept through oral history, folk songs and ballads, favorite melodies, jigs, and freeform dance, but also in thread and fabric embroidered into long banners, hung in folk hearths, and even into special event attires. Like that. We've got personalized patterns, specific dyes. We know we have ancestral colors for individuals. Music, movements of a dancer come together to paint a vivid narrative, which only the Dalish can truly appreciate. I don't know. Don't think Stormhelm would think that stuff's cool? Maybe you got to be a particular type of person from Stormhelm to appreciate that. The Dalish don't waste time recording boring things. Only a good story is worth immortalizing. I talked about this the other day. Not about boring stories, but about stories that we want to hear told. Stories have DNA and they replicate through what is desired by the communities that they serve into. Embellishment isn't so much frowned upon as it is expected. Okay, even encouraged, and the details aren't as important as the message. This has led to familial feuds and undeserved reputations, some lasting generations. That is the consequence of not being accurate. Yet everyone can agree that fiery stories make for good entertainment late into the wintry night or by a star-strewn summer campfire. Let's see. Yes, of course, you're going to use tags if you're doing something as a performance. And another thing, too, is like learning a particular performance or learning a particular story could be a tag that you could invoke, too, for other things. Like, I'm going to invoke this tag of the story of this whatever to give me strength and resolve in this matter, because the subject of the story matter does apply here. Maybe do that lightly, not all the time, but there's probably a lot of ways to play with that. Famous Dalish folk songs. The One with the Hole in the Hat, To Melkrest I'll Return by Snowfalls and the Rains, Biggle's Big Basket. We're going to change that to Blipple's Big Basket, I think. Errol Fine Plight? I don't know that. But this is cool because look, this gives you success tags. Like if you perform these songs, it's like, hey, here's your success condition. You can give somebody the amused tag, or you can give somebody the sad and inebriated tag. If you successfully perform this song, you can make other people drunk because they're drinking to like cope with the song and the story that you're telling. That's so funny. Yeah, there's just so much creativity in how to use this system, and I fear I'll be terrible at it, but that's why I'm going to use the published materials first. Popular Dalish instruments: drums, harps, wind instruments, chimes and bells, lutes, and violins. No brass. No horns. Which kind of makes sense because they're not like, they don't have like foundries. They're not pumping out tons of metallic goods. Breaks my heart a little bit as a low brass player, but at least we got string instruments. We can get the lute going. Right on. Crafts used for storytelling, carving, embroidery, knitting, pottery. All good stuff here. Children's tales: The Fish Who Couldn't Swim, The Oak Twins, The Golden Flask. God, practice what your parents teach you or you'll die come winter. And the success condition is they get the obedient tag. Oh, man. The Playful Storm, The Trader of Sodmore. That's great. We've got common sayings. There's a mile in them still. So we had sayings earlier about the lady. These are just common general ones. There's a mile in them still. I like that. That has a good sense of like, I'll say that about myself. There's a mile in me still. All the way to the knolls, set of a path of action that is likely to end in disaster or sorrow. Sad. This is so crazy. These are just sayings. And they're like, by the way, these sayings, if you say them at the right time in the right place with a successful roll, you know, you can put tags on people. It's crazy. Ashstone Hardy, keep it out of the miller's reach. Can't hear you over the jumble. Capital J jumble. Said sarcastically to someone who speaks too quietly, or in seriousness to someone whose words don't make sense. The jumble was an ancient festival famous for its messiness and loudness. So sarcasm's alive and well in the Dales. We've got gossip as well. All the different ways you can gossip. Mechanically supported. And again, you don't have to go to these references. This is just like the core book where I was like, there's an example for everything. But again, if you study this and you internalize it, I think it'd be very interesting to see how much exposure to this game system it takes to internalize everything that you would need to play off all of this stuff kind of just from the top of the head. Because the framework is there regardless. You don't need these examples written down in this way. All you have to do is have the idea and the tag. I do think that's going to be challenging though, so we'll see. We'll see how well I can do it. I mean, I'll be doing it play by post, so I have time to reflect and think and not be on the spot. Oh, this is cool. Cobble Bones is an ancient Dalish game still popular among children and adults. Strangely, both competitive and collaborative while combining skill and chance. Do we get rules for this? I hope we do. It often involves gambling by participants or spectators. 21 pieces of carved and painted bone, etc., shuffled in a small satchel and cast upon 3 spirals traced in the sand or carved into a table. What is this? This is cool. The purpose is to bring the Finn, capital F Finn, the hero piece, to a place on the board which the player calls at the start of the game. Doom, Destiny, Dearth, or Delight. It's so cool. On their turn, players can use the other pieces, each with their own rules, to knock the Finn closer to their goal, block other players from achieving their goal, collaborate against a strong player, and so on. A set of cobblebones can also be used for divination by those familiar with this old ways tradition. That is a cool sidebar. It doesn't give us quite enough to play it, but it gives you enough to try and make a rule set for it. I know people in my group who will turn this into a game if given a chance. The Cow Chronicles. The Dalish do not reserve their embroidered records for themselves alone. Okay. Livestock bell harnesses also use this recording tradition. Unexpected. It narrates the animal's life as well as its children and forebears. That's awesome. Not only does this help identify the animal, but it also serves as a status symbol. Wow. That's cool. That is cool. I don't even know what else to say about that. It's cool. It's cool. It's super cool. Oh, did we make it to a new chapter finally? Or a sub-chapter, I guess? We did. By gosh, we did. It only took 1 hour and 40 minutes to go through less than 20 pages. Sorry. So sorry. All right, let's entertain the idea that maybe we're going to start jumping around here. We've got the Red Marshals. We kind of know their deal. If you want to play a Red Marshal, read about this more. Recruitment and training. Oh, Fort. What is this? Oh, that's the name of the barracks in Barleytown. Fort Gerdorn, a repaired outpost of the Old Kingdom. I like that. Supported by the community. The Red Marshals seem like good dudes. The Red Armor gave the order its name in its early days. Of course it did. Over 200 years ago. That is a pretty good establishment running. Lots more details, lots more tags. This is unexpected to me. Red Marshal roles: apothecary, armorer, blacksmith, cook, post rider. Hey, it's Hanlon. That's my boy. Falconer, Grand Marshal, investigator, patrol, quartermaster, recruit, scribe, stable hand, stationed marshal, or weapon master. You would assume that these Red Marshals are just like, yeah, we're like combat competent people that keep the peace, but they're like, no, they've got to do all this stuff too. It actually makes me think of firefighters. People think of firefighters as, something catches on fire and they jump in the truck and they go put the fire out and then they go back. But they're also doing like inspections, building inspections. They're teaching EMS classes to the public. They do EMS calls. A lot of fire departments do a higher percentage of EMS calls than they do active fire calls, because they have to be there for the fires anyway, and they have to be trained in EMS anyway. So it's this like convenient overlap. That's what this is making me think of, is everything that I've learned about fire departments in the last few years. Pretty cool. Stationed or patrolling. We did hear that earlier. They can be assigned to a specific place or a specific route for as long as decades, it said. The Woodwards. There are armed militia in Cedargate and Lastford. These are the guys in the South End, aren't they? Loggers, hunters. Let's go back to the map and figure out where this is at. And look at all this cool stuff they do. Aid during harsh weather or disasters, breaking up physical altercations, investigating crimes, manhunts, missing persons, predator attacks. They do it all, man. They seem like a cool group of people. All right, let's go to the map. And we are looking for what? Cedargate and Lastford. And I'm going to assume I'm wrong. Okay, Cedargate is a region, Lastford is a town. So they're over here. Yeah, they're definitely here protecting against anywhere that the Cregan Highlands might come through. I think there's a ford at Yeah, it's called Lastford. Of course there's a ford there. Oh, man. Sometimes I miss stuff, guys. Sometimes I miss it. All right. Let's keep zipping along. We'll see what you guys can look forward to if you pick this up. We got the Old Ways practitioners, which we read quite a lot about. This is going to go in more detail. Let's look at some art. Let's take some clues from some art. She has a rock, it appears, or some sort of blue fowl egg. Little bells on her shawl. I like that. A lot of color, a lot of patterns. Gorgeous piece. Tradition has it that the Old Ways originated in the Lady of the Dales and her thaumaturge followers, which booned the Dalish with the wisdom to harness and ward off the unseen. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot to digest. We'll see how much I remember of it after we're all said and done. Actually, when I'm reading some of this aloud, I recognize that I'm not processing it myself. And so if I'm pausing sometimes, it's because I'm rereading it in my head to be like, what did I just say? But it should make for good VOD, good background VOD stuff. Unlikely assortment. Yeah, there are different kinds of Old Ways practitioners, as we know. There's wise ones, which are probably the more like established, stable, know what they're doing kinds. And then there's recluses, wanderers, outcasts, wandering all over the place. Folk practitioners are like just the locals who pick up a little trick here and there. Covens, lay of the land kind working together. Used to be more numerous. There's apprenticeship systems. So this is cool. These are basically our factions, if we want to call them that. Even though even the factions themselves are kind of loosely associated. So you got your Red Marshals, You've got your old ways practitioners. These are kind of the things you might think of if I want to be a character that's a part of something bigger than just the town. It might be these. But I would say these are adventure level theme card tags at minimum. This is not origin level stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how I want to set up session 0, if I want to give guidance on how many origin to go for. And I think I might also do the thing I suggested where you start with 3 and we try and pick up a 4th theme card along the way. And there's even more stuff about Old Ways Magic. This is all the things that they do, which we know a lot of those examples. Bone Tenders. Now, these are a separate thing, huh? Separate. What's going on here? Got some sort of incense going on. Skulls. Some sort of gourd. They got glass bottles, it looks like, so that's cool. Trinkets, charms. Bedroll. Some sort of buckler. I don't know. Twilight sensitivity. Bone Tenders value the innate ability gifted to some to feel Twilight influences nearby. While they cannot limit their recruits to such rare individuals, they take special interest in those who display this rudimentary form of sight beyond sight. Okay, so how do I want to draw this out? This is not the best analogy. But in a way, it seems like the Old Ways practitioners are your wizards, right? They study it, they learn it, they tinker with it, they figure it out. These guys are giving me sorcerer vibes, loosely. Again, and this pops up in all sorts of different types of fiction. In Wheel of Time, you have, it's going to go right out of my head as soon as I said that. There are people who can learn the one power, and then there are wilders who kind of innately learn it and accidentally learn it, and if they don't get training, they will probably end up accidentally killing themselves, because handling it is not something you should just kind of do by vibe. So there's always been this kind of 2 spheres of magic that I've seen in a lot of fantasy fiction settings and elsewhere, where there's kind of the studious one who's very careful and they have to do it in just the right way, and then this one who's just I'm just feeling it and it's happening. So let's see if I'm even right about that. Cryptic and oft misunderstood, the Bone Tenders have safeguarded the Dales for longer than recorded memory. They frequent desolate paths to visit the ruins of Old Gwyrdalin, entwining old ways charms and incantations with travel ken and preparedness to keep ancient terrors asleep. So maybe they're just more proactive in interfacing with the Twilight, the unseen, than the Old Ways practitioners who are doing a little bit of everything. Now barely numbering in the dozens. Oh, rare. Super rare. Their vigilant actions resonate throughout the lands. Even if their deeds go unseen and unsung, they stand against the hidden threats lurking beyond the firelight, soothing the restless foundations upon which the Dales are built. Traveling in pairs, that's cool. Vagabonds. Yeah, those guys are neat. I would like to learn more about them, but they are pretty rare, so. Gwyrdalin blades. Some lucky Bone Tenders carry Old Kingdom weapons, found in ruins and ritually blessed and purified, then passed down by mentors or fallen members. Such ancient pieces are often more useful as declarative implements in their warding rites than in battle against creatures of Twilight, but it never hurts to have a blade of Gwyrdalin steel in a pinch. Cool. Very cool. Curse Eaters, Firewatch. We got merchants going on. These guys have their own language, too. The particular group of them, they have their own merchant language that we found out last stream. When peddlers speak of the path, they mean not just the roads and trails, but also the coordinated system of timed visits and travel that allows each peddler their own trading opportunities. That's cool. Let's see what she's got going on. Quilted, whatever you want to call that, cloak. Got your goods, your bedroll. Hiking staffs, thick leather cords. Yeah. All the things you need. Oh, Cult of the Crow. This came up earlier. I was curious about this. Crowlings, also known as Crow Sisters and Brothers, are members of an emerging woodland cult that is quickly spreading throughout the Dales. Oh. At the center of the cult lies the ritual offering of stolen magical items to a fabled being, Grandfather Crow, who is said to reward loyal service with strange Corvine magic. This is such a red flag in this setting. Do not trust the Crow Man. Don't bring him stuff. Yeah. Fledgling members of the cult may be simple Dales people, householders, farmers, children, and may partake once or become regular devotees. Now, I wonder, I mean, again, this seems like it's a real thing, that they're actually getting they're actually getting magic out of this. Um, that really got me pepper. Because things like this in it, how do I want to say this? In a culture that is so non-religious, but have a lot of different and varied spiritual beliefs, for something to actually kind of catch like wildfire, to me says that they're actually getting something for it, and other people are seeing other people get things for it, magic or boons or blessings or whatever, and they're like, oh snap, I should also worship the secret crow man. I don't know about that. Anyway, it's good fodder for adventure. All right, Valley by Valley, Guide to the Dales. Probably gonna go somewhat quickly through this. Y'all know we could read for hours and hours and hours and just basically read the whole book on stream, but someday we got to move on down the track. Let's see. So this is kind of just there are rumors behind each valley. That's given on page 205. That's into the GM section. Okay, I think I am going to read that. I'm going to read this page because it looks like it's an in-character reading. Don't roll your pretty eyes at me, girl. You've earned your cart, true, but this be your first round in the Dales alone. You'll listen, and listen good. A year or two, and do how you wish. Until then, you'll follow the family way and be richer for it. Besides, after pulling our cart these dozen trades, old Crick here follows the path all natural-like, and he's meaner and uglier than I. From under bow, after you picked a nice storm helm-made jewel or sword, head south, then east at the crossroads, away from the snow. Tools and tin trade well in Fairpoint, so set yourself right and fish. Stinks mighty proper, but with pasture prepping their spring fields, they'll be as precious as a coin of amber. Buy dried goods and a couple lambs, and they'll be plenty cheap. Follow the Shiverwash down to South Crossing. Sell all you've got there, but you find some Wanderland's trinkets, don't pass them by. If you haven't listened before, listen now. Travel fast and light through the bounds, girl. Ain't nothing there you want nor need. The marshes are too close, and their shadows stretch far. If you stop, do it in Silverbrook. Remember, until you see wood in flames, you ain't safe. With your Easterling coin, fill the cart with enderstock, timbers, furs, reeds. By then, the passes are cleared, so head north and make your choice. West to Lasford or east to Ravensdale. Both, if you have time and supplies. Salt Hill is close, and salt sells well. Just sleep with one eye open. Between you and Profit sits Soddenmore. Its trades stink as much as the bog, so put it behind you fast, no matter how bright the lanterns. You can either head west to Milkrest or east to Highglade. I'd say former this year. A climb, for sure, but they'll need furs and reeds come winter, and cheese rolls downhill, as they say. The glade has its charms, but you'll butt heads with peddlers from Ashstone and Pasture. Then down to Barleytown, time it right. You'll arrive around midsummer, make your coin, and ready yourself. Barley harvest starts shortly thereafter, and wheat a few weeks after that, and that's why you're there. When your cart's full, call it good. Homeward east through the lower heartlands, not north. Don't roll those eyes. North is Dolmen Knolls. That place is cursed, so stop your daydreaming. Now, be on your way, my girl. Proud as any father can be. Make the road your own, and I'll see you when you follow it home. If I had to tell somebody how intricate this setting book is, I would just show them this page. And like the fact that there's consideration given to when certain trades are good in which parts of town, and the fact that an RPG developer put this together for you. I mean, this page alone speaks volumes as to how much care and attention was put into interconnecting every moving piece of this setting. The fact that they can even generate this. You could read entire setting books in other systems, I believe. I've seen setting books that don't go into nearly this depth, and I could say, write me a one-page like trade guide of when you should cross which river and when you should sell which goods to which town, and you'd be like, I can't. There's not enough information here for that. Yeah. You think you blue screened halfway through? Yeah, that's miraculous. That's like, hey, you guys want to do a merchant campaign? Let's just play this and see what happens along the way and see what goes wrong. It's like you're like playing Oregon Trail up in here. Kind of. wagon breaks down. All right, so we got towns here. We've got Ashstone, a rugged no man's land of windswept hills and deep glens known for its quarries. Okay, and we're gonna zip on through. We've got, oh man, they're giving you notable NPCs in every valley. Gosh, I mean, this would be the book to do it, so of course they're here, but I somehow wasn't prepared for that. Let's just pick one at random from each place. Kirith Harley, a gifted horse tamer, Kirith travels between farmholds, assisting ranchers and training riders and animals alike. In winter, she travels east to Fairpoint to stay with family. She plays the fiddle and sings beautifully, making her a popular guest. She sounds very dateable, just saying. You gotta put romance in your RPGs, guys. You gotta do it. The people thirst for the romance. Barleytown, which gets its own art to it. What are these guys? What is this? That doesn't... What is going on here? Now, this guy's pretty sus on them. Hey, Pepper, I think we got potatoes. I think we did. We did it. The largest dale crowned with the dale's only town. Farming and trade in this bountiful breadbasket and tacit heart of the dales rivals all others. Breadbasket region. All the tags that you could need to flesh out a town. Thanks for the hearts. Let's pick a random person. Or group, I guess. The Black Stablers. An established high-glade horse... I keep randomly choosing the horse people. An established high-glade horse trading family with some land in East Barleytown, the closest thing to Dalish nobility. Okay. So this is if you want to do a Yellowstone campaign. These are the Duttons. And it's because they got to protect the ranch. They always got to protect the ranch. That's my takeaway from seeing a season of Yellowstone. Oh, here's the residents. Here's the people. Okay, sorry. Greytail the Vole. If you need to know anything about Barleytown's goings on, talk to Greytail. The moniker is a mocking reversal of Greyback the Wolf, one of the Dale's tallest peaks. Easily missed, this slender, gray-haired youngster walks the town roofs and sneaks under farmhouse sills, eavesdropping on conversations she shouldn't. She trades the information for hardtack. Oh. That's so sad. Is this as sad for everybody else as it is for me? This poor girl is like, I need to eat, and so I'm just going to eavesdrop and like sell rumors to people so I can get by. Not me, with a character who was abandoned at 3 years old on the street. Feeling it. All right. Cedargate, which is a region, not a town, we learned earlier. And here's all your red marshals defending against the Kragan Highlanders. Just processing art. Loading. Oh no, this dude got shot in the leg. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. All right. A forested borderland where loggers and battle-hardened woodwards stand against raiders from the Kragan Highlands. I love that I knew that before I read it, because that means that the setting is doing its job of communicating to me what these places are. So, anyway. Good job, book. Good job. All right. There's more rules stuff that I can't really comment on. Notable residents: Fleece Oakenfoot, Woodward's leader and a liaison to the Red Marshals. Fleece is a grizzled warrior who trains recruits in the ways of shield fighting. Knowledgeable in the Kragan cultures and beliefs, she is not secretive about the fact that she has contacts among the Kragan and is considered an above-average mediator. Yeah, we all knew that. as soon as we started reading about the Red Marshals, I was like, well, there you go. There's Logan's character. Logan. When you see this back someday, we're calling you out. Yeah, with the shield and everything. That's what we're getting. The Dolmen Knolls. Again, these are up north. This is the dangerous forest. Witchwood is north of this. A tundra of forsaken valleys and barrow-crested mounds where eerie ruins dwell in restless slumber. Yep. This always, every time I see this in the setting so far, it makes me think of the Barrow Wights from Lord of the Rings. The books, not the movies, because those scenes were cut. But that's where, What kind of blade is it? That's where Merry gets the special blade that he ends up actually being able to kill the Witch King with. Because Merry's the best hobbit. Anyway. Oh, we got to get a rando. Let's grab a rando. Old Dinger, a hooded fisher, who is often seen on the Withermere in all seasons. I think that's a lake. And all weather, packing up and vanishing as soon as others show up. No one knows who they are or what they fish for, so they named them after their rotting nutshell of a dinghy. I don't think this is a human, guys. Nope. Not giving human vibes to me. This is giving Creature of Twilight vibes. Heartland, a largely uninhabited expanse of shimmering lakes, frosted peaks, and impenetrable woodlands where the twilight is ever near. I don't recall where this is, so we're going back to the map. We're going back. Heartland is... Okay. So the knolls... So this is... Okay, this is like a diamond. This is how I'm going to remember this. The Witchwood is the northern point of the diamond. The Heartland is the southern point. And then Upper Heartland is to the right. Dolmen Knolls to the left. That's how I'm going to conceive of those. He's got that Innsmouth look. Yeah, well, you know, you want the spooky. Spooky, go to the creepy fisherman who disappears anytime anybody else shows up. It's not sus at all. Fishing for something. He's fishing for souls. That's what he's fishing for. Highglade. This dude's got an interesting look to him. I can't tell if that's like the furred rim of a hood, but I guess it's, well, maybe. Or if that's his hair. It doesn't match the color of his beard, so. His horse looks concerned. That is a concerned horse. That is a horse whose reaction I might have to turn into an emoji. that's a face and a half. Highglade, an exclusive collection of dairy holdings, fiercely proud of its bucolic mountain pastures and ranching traditions. Very good. Let's get a rando. Coral Cloudborn, bright and dexterous, not to mention a prodigal horseman and rancher. Coral is next in line to inherit the revered Cloudborn Croft. Alas, after a recent visit to the lower lands, he's fallen in love with Noxon cow-tipper Brand of Ironwheel Farms in Milkrest. Brand of Ironwheel Farm in Milkrest. Oh, this is a... Looks like there's an error here. His family's bitter rivals. So it got duplicated. Cool. Yeah, fallen in love. Gotta watch out. Melcrest, a ripe goat-herding settlement high on the snow-capped Milk and Crest Mountain, celebrated for its aged cheeses. They look happy. I'll say that. They look like happy people. Up in the mountains, clouds. All right, notable residents. Emil Broken-Nosed Woolglove, elder cheesemaker of Milkrest and 6-time cheese rolling champion. His recipes and aging methods are decried by competitors as erratic and unorthodox, making them impossible to steal. He takes on only very few apprentices, which must display a touch of his own wild genius. The Cheese King. He's the Cheese King. That makes me think of, in Pathfinder, Artokus Kirin, the guy who made the Sun Orchid Elixir. You're going from Milkrest. You know, it's going to be interesting, right? Because when I actually get around to reading the adventures and see where it starts and what kind of the expectations are, it is easy to be looking at all of this and be like, oh, maybe I'll take a character from here and we'll have another character from here and another character from here. But it's like, it's a rarity that people are traveling anyway. But, you know, PCs are special characters, so... but it'll be fun to put together. Either way, and not everybody may have this setting book in our group, so we'll help them out. Give them a hand. The adage "Don't let your goats fall to the Caprine Lord" is used to warn someone that their complacency serves their rivals. Dang. Pasture, a cultivated dale of ranches and flowing fields where abundance has proved fertile soil for artistic pursuits, trades, and jovial diversion. Pasture is adjacent to the Shiverwash. It is on the eastern side of the map, and it's about 3 towns down from Stormhelm, and it is one of the largest. But that's our agriculture place. It seems to be. Let's go with Radom Desimir, proprietor and trader. Radom? I'll go Radom. Radom runs Chandra's Goods, a general store named in honor of his late partner. Oh, sorry, dude. Or gal. Locals, peddlers, and wayfarers pay higher prices to enjoy Radom's remarkably aromatic hardtack, which trades more easily. Yeah, if you've got a specialty. Yeah, there's so much content. There's so much content. Ravensdale. This is the core, because, it's Hearts of Ravensdale. Ravensdale is the small kind of starter town, an oft-forgotten valley of orchards, farms, and fields believed to be named after its many roosting sites of Dalish ravens. We will read this, because I am pretty sure, and I assume that this is where the adventure is going to start, and because I'm going to run the adventure, and because some of you are going to play in the adventure, we're going to read it, because we all need to know it anyway. So, a quiet and sleepy hollow in the shadow of the Greyback Mountain Range, the Ravensdale is situated inconveniently out of the way. It really is. No matter where one comes from, so that even peddlers on the path can't always make time to visit it. And even from that story where the guy was telling his daughter where to go, he's like, go to Ravensdale if you can't. Try and hit Ravensdale and Lastford both. But if you can only choose one, go to Lastford and then continue north. Where was I? It's connected to the high road and the rest of the dales by a long, windy, often impassable dirt road and a handful of even less traveled mountain passes. And so, those who live in the Ravensdale are content to stay where they are, work with what they have, and provide each other with ample entertainment through a vibrant and somewhat melodramatic community life. Melodrama. That's my keyword. That's what I'm here for. Within this bowl-shaped dale are yellowing fields of millet and barley, apple orchards, and beehives, pasture land, and little forests, home to countless corvids and other birds. Though they fight them nail and tooth for their crops, the Ravens folk treat these birds with respect, even reverence, featuring them in their annual celebration rites. I'm just going to say this right now. Some of this here, small town, just off on their own, bees and apples and everything like that. It's giving... what is the name of the town? Ponyville? Is that the My Little Pony main town that they're in? Ponyville? Ponydale? It's giving a little bit of that. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Outstanding features: Ravenholm, the central village, located at the heart of the Dale's bucolic farmland, connects all paths and roads from outlying farms, crofts, and hunting lodges, bringing people together for trade and company. Some 30 houses strong, it nevertheless boasts a lively community that would put Barleytown to shame. The rumor mongers here are the best in the Dales, never missing a piece of news from near or far. Greyback the Wolf, which is the mountain, right? It's commonly and mistakenly considered the tallest peak of the Dales. This foreboding snow-capped ridge dominates the skyline for miles, towering over the Highglade Mountains and the Frostfangs of Heartland. So vast it is almost its own land, the mountain is riddled with icy trails, stone archways, and fathomless caves. It is revered as a personality, if not a deity, wild and ferocious and invoked in many rituals, charms, and blessings. That's cool. That's very cool. I like it. Famous apples. The Ravensdale is known for its flavorful and crisp apples grown in orchards that line the central road into Ravenholm. They come ablaze with color in spring, littering the ground with blossoms. Some of the Dale's most sought-after exports are its excellent cider, fermented or not, and apple pie. Guys, it's Ponyville. Just saying, it is. Sapsauce trees. The slopes of the Ravensdale are home to forests of the sweet sapsauce tree. Are we making syrup? Which is tapped, cooked, and sometimes fermented for a variety of products and cooking recipes. Tell me we're doing pancakes and syrup. The floodplain, drained mostly by the slow-flowing Mill Brook, which runs along the center of the dale and the main road west, the Ravensdale experiences flash floods in spring and summer when rainfall is heavy. Some riverside homes are built on stilts, but for the most part, the floodplain is used for crop fields. All right, let's get into some people here. Notable residents. Burglitz the Fletcher, a bowmaker and arrowmaker, one of the finest in the Dales. This middle-aged artisan, who resides in a little hut in Ravenholm, is somewhat of a pilgrimage destination for Dalish hunters who appreciate a good bow, as well as alder people who wish to equip their local red marshals with a worthy weapon. Cool. Here's a character hook for you. Apprentice with this guy. Data Hulk. Hulk? An elder of Ravenholm, this sage storyteller has forgotten more tales than most people know. Children adore him, gathering around his midnight balefires to listen to his spooky stories. He fell in love with an enigmatic creature of twilight as a young man, which is why he never married. Oh, that's adorable and sad. He's still just pining for like this unknowable creature that he fell in love with. I hope they get together. I do. Gilla, the Whisperer, tradeswoman and owner of the general store. Gilla trades not just in tangible goods but also in secrets. She rarely makes good on her threats, but people in the Dale submit to her demands for fear that she'd, consequence, expose their unsightly indiscretions. Be careful what you tell her. Her name, she's known in the town as the Whisperer. Like, don't tell her your secrets. Leophale Macross, having run his familial cider brewery into the ground, you hate to see it. Leophale spends most of his time struggling to stay afloat. He hangs around the Tart Apple pub in Ravenholm, whispering in people's ears, playing on insecurities to use for his benefits. This is not a nice guy. That's not a nice dude. Look at this picture. Look at this, like, brushed art style. Man. Rumors and tales. So Data falls for a creature of twilight and it's fine, but if I want to give trinkets to the weird crow guy, listen, you do you, Pepper. Okay? You do you. I mean, you would be stealing from people. There's a little difference there. We're not here to judge. Hatchling. Not one to candidly share information, Gilla has insinuated that someone in the village has joined the cult of the crow. Huh. I wonder who it could be. And is about to give the wise one, as well as other unnamed individuals who practice the old ways, a run for their money. She thinks this crowling has a master out in the woods, as they've been slinking there often bearing all sorts of stolen gifts. Greyback himself. Hunters coming down from the mountain have heard from a mountain hermit that a towering gray-furred ogre has been seen prowling the peaks, twice as large as a man and 30 times stronger. Whether or not it is truly the spirit of the mountain incarnated is a matter of fierce dispute, but either way, folks wonder if the mountain passes are still safe. I would generally assume that none of your mountain passes are safe, Ravenholm people. Unusual Helmian interest. Oh, nice. I said this was a hook I would have liked to see last stream. Sporadic rumors from across the Dale speak of Stormhelm knights asking strange questions about the Ravensdale, and hooded envoys digging up old records about the Dale at the Barleytown Scribery, but none of them ever visit in person? What? That is such a cool hook. We have no idea what they're looking for. There's something special about Ravensdale and Ravenholm. So we got people here. It's just a sample of a person. You scratch a tag from this theme to avoid consequences causing you to become corrupted, violent, or despaired. Aw, this dude can inspire you. That's great. Okay. Well, that was Ravensdale. That was not too long. And we're into Soddenmoor, the underbelly of the Dales, an unscrupulous crossroads community rising from lowland swamps and rivers. We know the swamp is not a good place to be. What are they doing here in this picture? Is that thing on the boat? That thing seems too big to be on the boat. Okay. All right. It's not my boat. Got a notable residence here. We'll go with Negan Wetfeet. An unruly, covetous fence with few teeth and fewer morals. He runs the 10 Frogs, a ragtag collection of pilferers and petty thieves. The Red Marshals often pay him a visit, but have very little to prove their case. Negan often dreams big, but thinks small. That's kind of fun things to try and play against him if you're ever in Soddenmoor. South Crossing and the Bounds. A secluded borderland along the dreaded marshes, disturbed only by a backwater village of explorers and failed dreams. You know what I think I wasn't picking up on this so far is that these are, some of them are regions and some of them are towns, I guess. So I did pick up on that. Oh, we got any weird people here? Weird people? Lillywin Clipped Wing. From distant barley town, Lillywin came to South Crossing to seek her fortune in the Wanderlands. After several successful expeditions, dang girl, she ran afoul of raiders, losing her left arm. Dang girl. Now she makes her living as the village provisioner. Sometimes trades provisions for a sworn promise of shares in the treasure. I like her. Several successful expeditions into the Wanderlands, though, that is no small deal. That's the place where they're like, don't even go there. People that go out there most often don't come back. Yeah. Good for her. Woodend, a thriving village at the edge of the Dales, entwined with the great forest of Aldenweald, its bounties, and its mysterious dwellers. So this is north of the lake. So they are crossing the lake to get to the Aldenweald, which is not as bad as the Witchwood up north, but also has got challenges in it. This is where the Vera are. Whatever that means. Oh, also, look at this art. Look at this log, this hollowed out log that has a separate tree growing inside it. This thing is enormous. Baddie alert. Is that for Lillywin? Yep. She a baddie. Let's see. Notable residents. The Three Skulkers, often referred to as a set in the ears of newcomers looking for a guide to the Aldenweald. These three unrelated individuals are considered most skilled in the ways of the forest. Merrick the Way Guide lives in Millside and works as a guide for a living. Fontel, a huntress, spends much time in the woods and only picks up the odd pathfinding job. Riva Skull, a hermit, lives in a forest cabin and is considered the best among them, but to merely reach her one might need one of the others. So these are the guides, yeah. It's a cool little trio. Smaller dales and villages. We got some fishing going on here. Doing laundry in the river. This is a neat home style too. That seems kind of unique to some of the other places we've seen so far. It's very, very interesting. Got our fish hanging up here. Right on. Fairpoint, a brooding insular village perched on a mossy and mist-weathered promontory known for its truffles, delectable cuisine, and cursing elders. Seems like a neat place. Good food. Bad weather. Grumpy people. I don't know why they're so grumpy if they've got such good food. Notable residents. Cecile the Exact, chef of the Buttered Boar, this high-strung man of little stature commands great obedience from both staff and patrons. Obsessed with codifying the Dalish way of life and forever torn between tradition and improvement, he wrote and published in some 30 copies the Handbook to Right and Wrong, a handy guide to how one should behave in every situation. I was a little overbearing, dude. He's got all the answers, apparently. Huh. That's a lot. Lastford, a lonely and tranquil fishing village at the end of the world where nothing ever happens. Doubt. Notable residents, Mira Sommerkin, proprietor of the Drunken Lamprey, also known as Last Tavern. The Tavern of the Last Call, perhaps? A wide and merry matron, she can drink anyone under the table and is known for her legendary lake perch pie. Okay, I've never had a fish pie. Have I? No. No, I haven't. I've had chicken pies and turkey pies and beef pies and shepherd pies. I've not had a fish pie. Salt Hill, an isolated salt mining camp renowned for its odd inhabitants and eerie, cavernous underground halls. Neat. Let's go with... Oh no, why did I do this to myself? Yelizaveta. Apparently I had to say that with an accent to get it out. I don't know why. Yelizaveta Jin. Tall and big-boned, yet stooped and ashen-faced, Yelizaveta is a bone tender who devotes her time to singing to the mine, making certain its twilight inhabitants remain at rest. She can disappear for days, drifting through the darkness alone, an oddity even among her tradespeople. She is revered and feared by locals. She sounds like a badass. Fish pie sounds gross, and you don't hate fish? I mean, they got to be out there. Somebody's got to know how to make them good. All right, Underbow, a bustling and cosmopolitan trading post infused with Stormhelm influences and sensibilities. We've got charter member Rust, a jovial, big-bellied, red-headed fellow. Rust represents the Charter of Changers, this is the merchant society. Growing interest in Underbow, he divides his time between the market, the waterfront inn, and private meetings in the elders' homes and merchants' tents. Alderwoman Laurel Marsh doesn't trust him, chalking up his affable manners to some manipulative agenda, but she has to stay on his good side. That's business. That's showbiz. Upper Heartland, a haunting land of ice-cold lakes and strange evergreen forests tormented in the shadow of the Witchwood. Notable residents, Cracked Twig, former Red Marshal. He's one of the few to have escaped the Witchwood. And he gets his own tag for it. Think about that tag, though. Think about that tag for a second. You're in a situation, it's getting dicey, and you're like, well, what do you want to add to your role? You're like, bro, I escaped the Witchwood. So, I just love it. That's cool. Ridden with haunting flashbacks, he works as a farmhand at Merovili Winery and drinks his nights away to dull the nightmares. Aw, buddy. I'm sorry. There's a lot of tragic NPCs out here. Tragic NPCs that need the power of friendship. Okay, it is getting late, but do we have it in us to go for some more? Because I know I've got people who are going to need to read this section too. Making a Dalish hero. Although I think, let me just scroll ahead really quick here. Yeah, okay. This is going to get into like your example dump. Yeah, so you want to be a simple folk. You want to be, pardon the scrolling, you want to be villagers and townspeople. Here's like some quick, easy stuff to make yourself. You want to be a guardian, a brash red marshal, somebody who uses a sword and a shield and whose name is Logan. You want to be a wayfarer. So these are going to be good references for you guys out there in the world playing the game. It goes on, it goes on. I know, I'm sorry, this scrolling must be maddening. It's not a good way. It's not a good way to do this. I'm sorry. Let's just get through it. No. Oh my God, no. All right, hold on. Oh man. Let's do this and this. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. Should have done this sooner. Yeah, people, kits, examples. And then we're into general store stuff. We saw this in the core book. And this section here I read earlier, it's basically like, hey, all this stuff exists in the core book, kind of, but these are like specific things that'll tie directly into the flavor of Hearts of Ravensdale setting itself. So equipment, cooking and crafting, which has its own whole thing. So look at this. This is like a whole cooking subsystem. Let's find a cool food. And then I'm probably going to backtrack. We'll read the intro to Making a Dalish Hero without going into all the examples. And then we will probably maybe call it a night. I don't know. There's a lot of you here. So maybe we'll just keep going. I don't know. Barleytown Buttermilk Loaf. Barley, buttermilk, yeast. So I'm guessing these are rules that you have to acquire these ingredients at minimum. The famous Barleytown staple, this is a fluffy loaf made with barley flour, buttermilk, and sometimes eggs. Commonly baked at home, it is also sold on street corners with sweet or savory fillings stuffed between the two slices. If you succeed at it and you share it with your group, I guess, you can give nourished, comforted. If filling is added, gotta add the filling. Grounded for Barleytown folk. Oh man, look at that. That's so cool. Not only is the food doing something for you, if it's from a region that you have an affinity for, then you can get a tag that's basically like, this is my culture, this is my home, this is what I used to eat in the morning when I'd wake up. So clever. So much cleverness. Sausage, hand pie, honeyed hump roast, hunter stew. Here we go. Here's a lakefish chowder. It's not a pie. Fish, mussels, vegetables, cream. All the bounty of lake fishing can be boiled together to create a rich, creamy chowder, popular on the shores of Lake Hare, Lake Fox, Loch Friedel, and the Woodend Lakes, and most of Upper Heartland. Each region has its own recipe with different fish and seasoning. And you can get grounded again for lake dwellers. Cool. It's cool. It's cool, guys. It's all here just as like a reference guide. You don't have to use all of it. You don't have to use any of it, but it's here for you, and I think that's really neat. Okay, crafting, and we're into magic, and then I think after magic, we hit the end of chapter 1. Oh, yeah, we picked up the pace there in the back half. But we're going to go back. We're going to read that one section, and then that's going to do it for us looking at Hearts of Ravensdale book. Yes, potato dish. That'll do it for us looking at this book. There's obviously a lot that we blew past because, I'm not supposed to show an entire book on a stream anyway. And then there's, what is this, page 164 out of 419. So there's another 250 pages of stuff that's just for the GM and the adventures in the back. Yeah, it's hard to argue against the value of this book. I was going to do this last stream too. Son of Oak Games, I think, is their website. No, it is not. Google, help me out. Just sonofoak.com. Okay. And they've got this book up on their front page. It says, Hearts of Ravensdale. The new Dale setting book is here. Embark on a journey of cozy cabins, beautiful countryside, and dark ruins where encounters with creatures of twilight and woodland rituals abound. Where do they have it for purchase? Because I want to let you guys know how much it is. Get the book. Print and digital, $10 off right now. Yeah. Print and digital, $40. Digital only $25. Not bad. I don't think print is shipping yet. Because if it was, then I would probably have gotten alerts before it. But this is a pre-order estimated delivery June 2026 for the physical. So anyway, if you guys wanted to know, it's out there. And of course, they have bundles with the core book and all sorts of stuff. But go check it out, I guess, if you wanna. Now, let's go back to making the hero. We will read this, and we'll call it a fine evening with friends. Making a Dalish hero. In the grand scheme of things, a Dalish hero begins small, humble, and close to the ground, whether they are a tiny seed that holds a great destiny, or they are just one more Dales person. Today, what matters is their everyday story, their daily routine, bread and butter skills, personal items, and little rituals. Those who rise from the common folk of the Dales to become a hero rarely choose to be one. The mantle is thrust upon them by circumstance, drawing them into an ever-widening world. Okay, don't make heroes, is what this is telling you. If you're going to be a hero, you need to be the one hero in the group, probably. Slowly but surely, impending trouble afflicts their lands and neighbors, forcing the Dalish hero to take up their plows and kitchen knives and put them to use to defend what they believe in. In the following pages, you will find tropes, theme kits, and backpack tags for creating Dalish heroes. Hero creation is explained in the CB1, that's Core Book Volume 1 of 2, starting on page 77. Crafting a Dalish hero concept. Start with your hero's profession, situation, or place in the world. Where does your hero come from, and what do they do there? Who are their friends and family? Why do they care so much for these folk? What tragedies have they already endured that could come to seem quaint if they one day face the true evils behind the Dales? What are their ancestral colors, guys? That's your homework. Your character may lament or relish living a cozy life among the farms and villages, yet perhaps something draws them out. Some sense of duty, purpose, or justice spurs them like a riding goat onto higher mountains. Keep your concept close to the ground and to everyday life. So many legends begin with a humble shepherd. Use your tags to add details to your abilities and personality rather than power and scope. Dalish heroes start small but rich and textured. Avoid skills or sensibilities that belong in a city or a clearly structured society such as a kingdom or empire. Your hero most likely knows nothing of such things. You can give them a reason to want to do more or see a greater world, or you can make them care little for anything beyond their lives and let the stories sweep them along. Figure out which dale they're from. When in doubt, just choose the Ravensdale. So it does say, you can pick wherever they're from. So if you want to be from Milkrest or what have you, there are reasons why you could have moved around either in youth or as a profession and you settled somewhere else. People moving within dales is not an unusual thing. I forget the name they give to the people that come in from like the Wanderlands, the Outlanders or something, I think is what they called them. There's the Outlanders, and then there was another group of people who aren't Outlanders, but they're the ones who like go out into the wilderness to hunt and come back. There are two different kind of cultural concepts there. From the last stream. Origin level. Dalish heroes should begin with 4 origin themes to keep them grounded. So there you go. We will probably do that because I don't need to be bucking the game system right from the start. If you wish to begin with an adventure level theme, consider relic or companion, making your hero somewhat unusual by way of association instead of directly. Good advice. I might consider that. The following tropes from CB1 can fit a Dalish hero, but you may have to choose a different origin theme kit for your 4th theme. So they tell you, in the other book, these ones will also fit in addition to the 300 that they're going to give us. And there you have it. There you have it. Boxes and boxes and boxes upon boxes of examples. Oh, we got there, guys. We did it. I didn't read this. Uncanny Heroes. If you want to play an extraordinary hero passing through or living in the Dales, ask the narrator to give you some options from making an uncanny hero, page 212. Don't look there yourself if you don't want to spoil the story. So the GM has a reference guide of some reasons why there might be some special people out there. So, how are we feeling about the book? Do we like the book? I think it's been good. It's been a good read and a good experience. So, I'm excited to get started with it. For those of you that may be in my game, or may not, depending on how the party shakes out. I'm not going to get to this in any quick hurry. There's still a lot for me to process. I got to read through the adventures, figure out what I'm doing. But we'll kind of chip away at it over the next month or so. And it's a good segue to mention as well, if you are part of the London Station Patreon and therefore Discord community, we've got a lot of great gamers in there who I would say generally like to try new and different systems. We've had Tortuga in chat tonight, who's interested in a whole bunch of different things, a lot of which I've never even interfaced with. Just a good group of people. If you want to come hang out with us, feel free. What else? We got to do the call to subscribe again. We got to do the call to like the stream if you liked it. You don't have to like it. It's okay. You can tell me. Add comments later on if you want to. There's the whole thing I mentioned about the whatever YouTube's doing with the hype thing. If you're watching a VOD and it's like, hype this video, hit that. That can't hurt. That doesn't hurt anybody. I know I've got 1.5 million friends streaming out there in the world these days, so I'm going to kind of scan ahead and see who we might want to go to for that. I think I know where we're going to go, so that'll be fun. Please don't start playing, though. Stop. Pause. So we're going to send those of you who are willing to join me for a Twitch-style raid. We do that manually because we want to support our friends. So much to go over. So much. Not to mention the fact that I can't even guarantee that I have a good handle on the complicated parts of the rules. The simple, straightforward parts of the rules, I get. That kind of stripped down, simple and quick resolution system of Legend of the Mist, I think I'm not going to have any challenge with. But I think I'm going to... I expect to struggle a little bit getting my head around the challenges and the limits and the threats and consequences and the established action loop. But I'm looking forward to the challenge. And again, I get to do it on play-by-post, so I have all the time in the world to think through what I'm going to say next. People can wait. They can wait for me to figure it out. So that's good stuff. What else have we got going on out there in the world? Friends, family. Looks like we had quite a few people hanging out with us tonight, and I'm grateful that you're all here with us. Again, I mean, the information's in the information thing, and there's links to stuff, and check us out. You're going to be a nonconformist and start a 5e game in the server, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. It's trendsetter. Yeah. Look, as long as people are having fun. And they don't even have to play games the way that I play games. Like I always come back to again and again. When I play a game, I want to either learn about myself, learn about my friends, or have a new experience. So I'm usually looking to mine something particularly out of a game. But again, thanks for spending time with me tonight. Thanks for listening to my opening song. If you missed it, I started the stream with a song. You can go back into the VOD and see how that went. It turned out all right. What else? We're not in any rush to like shut the thing down, so let me see if I'm forgetting something, because I always am. Yeah, maybe not. Thank you, huge thank you and appreciation to Alejandra, who is the key artist for Son of Oak. She reposted that I was even having this stream today, and I was like, wow, that's a big audience to say nice things about me too. And she was here in chat with us, and so she seems like an awesome person. I guess that's gonna do it then. Let me get you guys a link to a good friend of ours, good friend of mine. I hope she becomes a good friend of yours. Hime Atsugi. Again, Hime was a companion of mine through a difficult year. They hosted a lot of streams about solo RPGs and just a nice, safe, chill place. They are a cool person. So Hime, non-binary parrot VTuber is how they describe themselves. So we're going to pop on over there in just a second, and we're going to say London Raid so that they know that I have sent you. And they are doing Legends of Akaroth, which is in backing right now. It is, I believe, a solo and group game. I haven't followed it that closely, but this group of friends of mine, they're all over it. So come on over with me, join me there, and I'm going to shut things down on this end, and I will see you guys again Saturday morning doing something. Maybe more Astro Prisma if I get my campaign notes straightened out. If not, I always have more fun things that I would like to do with y'all. So with that said, thanks again so much for being here. I'll see y'all out there in the world. And if you can, please come over and join me on Hime Utsugi's stream so we can say hello and support our friends in the community. Love you guys. Have a great night.